Zone, what's going on? Good, happy Monday. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. If you missed out the install this live Friday, tickets are sold out. You guys missed your chance. You're going to get tickets next year. Titans wrapped up draft weekend with day 3, selecting 5 players, including Cedric Gray, Jarvis Brownlee, Jaquan Jackson, James Williams out of Miami, drafted as a safety. He's going to play linebacker for the Titans. We've got a lot of stuff to go through today, and the main man's going to do it with us, Rand Carthon, joining the show at 7:20 to break down the Titans draft class and surmise the whole draft weekend. Post-draft free agency also underway. After 4 o'clock today, signees do not count towards the comp pick formula, so you're going to see a lot more free agency action. We saw Mekhi Becton signing a 1-year deal with the Eagles worth up to $5.5 million to be their swing tackle. And the breaking news this morning as Ezekiel Elliott headed back to Dallas. Heartbreaking loss for the Preds last night as they fall to Vancouver 4-3 in overtime. Preds led 3-1 with 3 minutes to go. Series heads back to Vancouver with the Canucks leading the series 3-1. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone, beginning a brand new week. And the main man, Rand Carthon, will begin it with us at 7:20 this morning. The Titans draft class is set, and we have got everything that you need to know about the newest members of your local professional football team. 615-737-1045. We've got draft takeaways. We have got a Hall of Fame bag fumbling by the Nashville Predators over the weekend. 2 just horrific nights at the office at Bridgestone Arena to talk about. There is so much to discuss, and we've only got 4 hours to do it. So let's get started with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. I'm Will Bowling, streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV. What's up? Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, man. Finally back to settling down, I guess. I won't say we can relax at all, but hey, we can at least put it in cruise control and keep our eyes on the road is what we can do now that the draft is over, right?
Right. Just a little bit of downtime, but not much. It's like one thing is I asked you guys before the show started, I can't remember when's rookie mini camp because I feel like it's like almost directly after they get drafted. And then it goes into, maybe a couple weeks off and you got OTAs and
veteran. Yeah. Everything's. And before you know, people are going to be at practices watching the guys go at it. So I'm excited for it, but at least we got the season of speculation done. We know who your picks are and even some of your undrafted free agents. Ready to roll, man. Day 5 of draft. Oh, that was my day. Absolutely enjoyed it, man. Absolutely.
It's day 5?
Day 5. It's amazing, though, how many
day 4?
They just signed directly after the draft. Like, if you were on social media or anything, you just saw all the reports coming out, per source, signed so-and-so to a deal. Signed so it's incredible how fast. How fast did you know after the draft was over?
Man, about 30 minutes.
Yeah,
it's about 30 minutes. There could be more rounds in the NFL draft. I think it could be, but I think just the long, drawn-out process of it or whatever, however teams and the networks want to do it probably just isn't worth it for them. Because, again, they're immediately on the phone with guys talking, trying to get them to understand, hey, you got an opportunity here. We want you here.
Sure.
Who's the quarterback? Notre Dame's quarterback.
Sam Hartman.
The
most handsome quarterback in the history of college football.
What, a $20,000 bonus and a minimum of signing bonus, $20,000 signing bonus, I think $250,000 base or something like that. I was like, golly, bro.
Looks like if Tony Vitello was a quarterback.
Yeah, he does.
With the beard.
Yeah. If he ever gets on the field,
What's
boy,
that,
his
Italian?
marketing going through the roof.
Right.
I think he already has a Head and Shoulders deal.
He does.
Does he?
See?
Wow.
Yeah, told you.
He's head and shoulders the rest of the ahead of the undrafted quarterbacks already.
He is. I didn't even know you can negotiate as far as being an undrafted free agent. This is also 09.
Like money-wise?
Money-wise,
Okay.
yeah. There's a bigger pool than they'll present to you. I think now agents and players know it more and more. But I was a priority free agent the same way as Sam Hartman. I've seen other guys, too, get like $50,000 as a signing bonus. Mine was $8,000.
Really?
Yeah. It was the guy same year that was a priority free agent. I think got 16, but he was like in New York, New Jersey or something. So my 8
so
to
a
his
little bit
16
more.
was about the same.
Gotcha.
Should we read the names of everyone else drafted in the 2009 NFL draft in an in memoriam music behind it of all the offensive linemen drafted who did not make it as long in the league
Don't do
as
it.
Ramon Foster did, as like they do when people pass away, like the Emmys?
It's not in the
Yeah, that's right. We can play some Sarah McLachlan music and talk about guys who are overrated and should not have been drafted ahead of you. We can do that if you really want to.
But I'm over it now. Okay,
All
I'm
right.
better. I'm better from it now.
That's
If it had been
great.
2010 and I had offered this, you would have taken me up on it immediately.
Oh, I'd have told, did he make the roster this year? No, he didn't. Those were the things I would have been saying.
You are
to
the weakest link.
Goodbye.
Good vibe. One and done. Couldn't be my career.
Right?
That's
Hey,
petty.
that sucks.
That's petty.
And none
right
of them are on entertaining radio shows anymore either. So.
Yeah, I know, man.
Just winning at life.
But overall, well, I guess we'll ask the fan base on how we feel about this class and everything, man. It's locked and loaded.
Yeah, I'm excited to see really people's opinions today. Just you see them on social media, but again, we can't really get a good grasp because sometimes that's overly negative. Yeah. But for the most part, I feel like people felt pretty good about this class, which had a lot of picks in that day 3.
My best advice to anybody who has that's a fan of a team or fan of people, don't let social media skew your opinion. You have more joy if you just look for yourself, is all I tell you. Fascinating, though.
We talked about it last week. You never know how any of these draft picks are going to turn out. You don't grade a draft class the weekend after the draft. You grade it typically 2 to 3 years after the draft. So when you see people give you a C or an A+, I don't put too much stock into these things right after a draft is over. But there is a lot of analysis that we can do.
Oh, yeah.
Starting with Tavondre Sweat, number 38 pick. And Ramon mentioned it at the very end of the show on Friday that eventually Jeffrey Simmons was going to start just demanding help if he wasn't given any. And he's not going to have to demand any at all.
He will not, man. I think I was more happy for Big Jeff on that pick than almost anybody else. And they could have got Haro. I mean, they could have picked up a multitude
Braden
of other
Fisk.
guys. Braden Fisk wasn't that who went immediately after.
The next pick.
Was the next pick. You know, that run was going to happen. But he needed some help. Tavondre Sweat is a guy, of course, a guy to make sure he keeps everything above board from here on out, you know, considering he comes in with a little bit of baggage. Also, people are going to forever. How many questions, Kayla, by the way? I think you were on the call with him about his weight.
A lot. And also questions about, you know, the whole situation that happened, which he did not want to comment on at that time. And I understand, you know, this is a moment where he's trying to enjoy a once in a lifetime opportunity, but, you know, he has to know he's going to get those questions when it comes down to it. But then somebody, I think it was Terry McCormick, asked about specifically when they went down to visit his mom and him, you know, even after the top 30 visit, and kind of what that showed about the franchise really wanting to give him an opportunity. And he talked a little bit more about that. He felt more comfortable, I think, just kind of discussing, you know, they gave me a chance. They let me know they cared, wanted to see me for who I was, you know, in my environment with my mom and stuff. So I thought that was good that he at least tried to expand a little bit after kind of shutting down the initial questions of it.
Yeah, because I think it's still open. That situation is. There's more behind that for sure. But the player on the field is super unique. Super unique. What did Senior Bowl.
Jim Nagy.
Jim Nagy.
Yeah.
Jim Nagy called him the most
He's
unique.
a fan of him, huh?
Yeah, big fan of him. The most unique prospect in the NFL draft this year.
Sure.
It is funny that anyone who is a critic about Rand Carthon and the Titans not taking the Senior Bowl seriously enough by not going in person, well, they just went and drafted 6 of their 7 new players were from the Senior Bowl, including the last 6.
Yeah, sure was.
The only player that they drafted that was not a Senior Bowl product was J.C. Latham. So they clearly value that process, even though Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan were building a coaching staff as it was going on in Mobile this year.
Mm-hmm. I remember meeting him down there, man. Dude, I think I have big hands. His paws are huge, man. I shook his hand and I almost felt like it swallowed my hand up, man. He's
97th percentile.
He's a big dude.
Hands.
Is it really? Big body guy, and of course, there's a lot to unpack as it pertains to him and these other draft picks too. But it was a little bit more balanced this year. Not all offensive.
I know.
I was hoping that it wasn't like 5 straight offensive players, but you got some defensive help and a 6'4" safety or linebacker, whichever one you want to be.
Inside linebacker.
Miami.
Is insane, man.
Full class. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the fact that he was on the back end of a defense at 6'4" is insane to me.
I saw someone on Twitter call him a pterodactyl. That's a pretty good way to describe it.
He can scratch his knees standing up. He ain't got to bend over.
That's freaking crazy.
Tavondre Sweat at 38. North Carolina linebacker Cedric Gray in the 4th round, selected at pick 106. First team All-ACC performer in 2023 and a Butkus Award semifinalist. Louisville corner Jarvis Brownlee Jr. is someone I'm excited to talk to Rand Carthon about because I think at pick 146, the Titans still somehow find a corner that fits everything that they want in a corner. In a physical, chip on his shoulder cornerback who loves playing nickel and is expected to compete on the outside and in the slot in the NFL with the Titans. Versatile chess piece in Denard Wilson's first defense there. Jaquan Jackson, speedy Tulane wide receiver, Tajay Spears' college roommate. And when he was drafted, you could very, very loudly hear Tajay Spears on the background on the phone. In the video the Titans released of Rand Carthon calling Jaquan Jackson. So we'll break that one down. Miami linebacker and safety James Williams, pick 242. Ramon mentioned that. That is the aforementioned pterodactyl. And Jalen Harrell in the 7th round at pick 252. So again, the significance of where these guys are coming from. Michigan in the 7th round. Miami also in the 7th. Tulane wide receiver. Louisville corner, North Carolina inside linebacker, a Texas defensive tackle. That's a lot of good college football programs represented in this new Titans draft class.
Yes.
That's still what sticks out to me the most is the fact that this organization and this coaching staff is making a shift towards wanting big school guys.
I think that, and we'll get into him more, but one of my favorite picks is Cedric Gray, specifically out of North Carolina. Not only, you're looking at some of these schools that have had successful programs in terms of football, but also guys that you go back to what he said about leaders. And Cedric Gray is the perfect example of a guy that they went out and got that is going to be able to be a leader on this defense eventually, if not soon. Just the way that he's played so much football already, 3 years at North Carolina, a guy that's going to be able to come in and probably be even possibly the green dot on this team. So that's also a part of what you look at this as some of these guys as leaders. And I look at that as J.C. Latham too. Like that's the personality trait he exudes too.
Man, and what's even crazier than that, though, is the Titans already have up their numbers and bios up on the website too.
We've gathered here today to go over the 2009 offensive line class. Some of them who are no longer with us, some of us who aren't in the media, aren't playing anymore, but there's one who is, and his name's Ramon Foster. We're here today to honor him. Sebastian Vollmer, 2nd round, 58th overall pick. Not around anymore.
You're not that bad.
William Beatty, Connecticut. He had a chance, but he didn't exactly grab that brass ring like our Foster did he?
No, he did.
Who else went here? Robert Brewster, the Brewmeister. Yeah, Dallas Cowboys.
Bert Brewster.
How many reps did he get live, huh, Bert?
Doesn't matter. He couldn't be my guard. He could not be my guard. Speaking of somebody couldn't be my guard, Craig Urbix.
Yeah.
Where's Urbic at?
Shipped him off after year 2.
We got rid of him, and we're going to go through plenty more of these offensive linemen today.
This is what we're doing.
Are there that many to take up every break?
There aren't that many.
Let's see.
It was a whole draft.
Let me scroll to the top of this bad boy.
It was
13 guards, 20 tackles.
Oof.
All of them in front of Ramon Foster.
VFL, Zach Fulton's brother went in front of me, too. I remember that one. He ran like a 4.940.
Operators are standing by at 615-737-1045. You too can donate to contribute towards the fourth round, the fourth day, the eighth round of the NFL draft. That's the undrafted draft, because undrafted people, they matter too. 615-737-1045. Support an undrafted in need next by continuing to listen to Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
It's Ramon Foster here for Secure Lawn. You guys know that the weather has changed here, man. So some of those pesky weeds are starting to pop up because they love the heat, man. They're weeds for a reason, man. You got to get them up out of your yard because, again, I will tell you this, even though your friends won't tell you, your neighbors are talking about you, okay? Simply because you already got brown grass in there. They see the weeds popping up. There's an entire plant that's growing out of your grass, and some folks think you planted there as a tree. Let me tell you this, man. Get Secure Lawn over your house to spray some of the awesome sauce on your lawn so you can better your environment around your yard so your pets and your family can go out there and enjoy themselves. Again, from Williamson County all the way to Wilson, Robertson, Sumner, doesn't matter, Davidson, they will come visit and treat your yard. They are some of the best in the industry, have been here for over 20 years. They're punctual. They make you sign no contracts. If you don't like them, let them go. But I promise you will. Again, you can call them at 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com. It's Ramon Foster here for Genesis Diamonds. Mother's Day is almost here, y'all. And my friends at Genesis Diamonds are here to help you celebrate her in a big way. Whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th Mother's Day, she will appreciate something thoughtful and timeless from Genesis. And you don't have to break the bank either. Genesis has put together a fantastic collection of sentimental gifts, things that she can wear at all times: layered necklaces, colored gemstone bracelets and rings, pearls, eternity bands, diamond pendants. And this year, some of Genesis exclusive designers have come in with even more great prices, new fashion-forward designs that any mom will appreciate. Stop in and let one of Genesis' trusted advisors help you find a special, meaningful gift. Let the team at Genesis do what they do best: help you find the most perfect, most affordable, and most beautiful piece of jewelry for the occasion. Genesis is the premier jeweler here with a reputation for high quality and extreme value. You will love the experience. Happy Mother's Day from Genesis Diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Kicking off a brand new week on Monday morning, RKW, brewed up by 8th and Rose, 615-737-1045. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. You can react to your favorite Titans draft pick over the weekend. We'll give you something you need to know about each of them. And coming up in 20 minutes, there was an interesting comparison for the Titans' second-round pick, courtesy of Greg Cosell, that I think people will enjoy on the 33rdteam.com over the weekend. Let's start there, though, with T'Vondre Sweat, the number 38 pick. Rand Carthon telling the media he is a big man that's going to create a lot of problems in the middle, is hard to move. We're excited about the pick. The Titans added 708 pounds of beef at pick number 7 and pick number 38.
Yeah, they did, man. My summary of this draft class was you got either bigger or faster at almost every position. I thought that was super unique. One, the size component of it. At all times, I think we all as football fans love the scoring, right? We love the explosive plays. We love the receivers, the quarterbacks, the skill players. But anybody that loves the game, watch the game, will tell you this too. The coaches that are in it, it's still a big man's game. And you got to be able to have your bigs be better than everybody else's bigs. And I think it starts with those first and second round guys that you got right there again. And not just because of their bulk and size, but I like the attitude of them too. If you look at T'Vondre Sweat's his senior bowl, apparently he got ticked off by some of the interior offensive linemen, and he continued and proceeded to bend back player after player after player. You look at him in situational moments at Texas also. It's tape out there for you to go view it for the people that can't understand why you drafted a guy like him who had an issue right before the draft in the second round. And it's because of his ability to, what Will said a second ago, to disrupt plays, his ability to get in the backfield, his ability to be a presence. And somebody has played against guys that big. I saw one this past weekend. Haloti Ngata was calling the Baltimore Ravens draft pick. What was that, Bert? I think the third or fourth round. He was calling third round, second and third. And I was just like, oh, Lord, there's the boogeyman. Mm-hmm. You don't forget those types of dudes is what I'm telling you, especially when they work at it. They actually are effective in the games, and they're not just big for the sake of being big. There's a difference. I promise you there's a difference. I played against guys who are big for the sake of being big, and you'd be like, all right, man, it's an easy day at the office. You don't get that out of T'Vondre, and we can go more into it. Kayla, it's on you, definitely.
Yeah, I like what you said about attitude. I think they definitely drafted some guys, and you heard Rand say it. Obviously, they all love ball, and we'll see, you see some guys that say that and it doesn't pan out. I really do feel like with the guys that they took in this draft, it's another level for them of competition. Like when they get on the field, this class, like they're going to compete. Specifically with a guy like J.C. Latham, and now we're talking about T'Vondre Sweat. This is a huge guy, but he's super athletic. I mean, you were at the Senior Bowl. If you watched any of the video clips, he was just mauling over people. And I love what Steve Sarkisian, his former Texas coach, said about him. He said, he's more than capable of lining up, holding the point of attack. And we did plenty of that because he was a big man that can move like he does. And he says he uses his quickness and strength in key short yardage and third and fourth down situations to make plays. And that's the thing. You want this guy to make plays. You want him to be Jeffrey Simmons' best buddy, his duo, whatever you want to call it up front, the beefs, And I think that's what Jeff needed to take a little bit of the pressure off of him. This guy looks like he's going to be ready to go. And he said, if I need to lose some pounds, I can. But I think he's going to do everything and anything to get on that field and be a difference maker. He definitely has that attitude. And if you listen to any of his interview with us, kind of a quirky, funny guy too. So I think he's going to bring a lot to that locker room. He just has to stay the course. And I think that with Jeffrey Simmons by his side, and Jeffrey had some things coming out of college that he learned really quick. I got to be a professional. And I think that's a good guy to have leading the way to help T'Vondre Sweat.
The speculation was that T'Vondre Sweat played closer to 380 pounds last year at Texas. The goal is for him to get to 355 or 350. In fact, he told the media after he was drafted on Friday night, if I go to 355 or 350, most likely I'm going to be a Hall of Famer. All right, well, then speak on it. Good man. Let's go.
Put it out there. Right.
There's no managing expectations. Interesting, looking at the stats for him and just the percentage of times that he won his one-on-one matchup. He was the only prospect that produced a pass rush win rate and a run stop win rate over 10% this past season. He did both. He won 15% of his pass rush snaps and a little over 10% of his run stopping snaps. The counterpoint of that is he wasn't on the field enough. Because when you're that big, you're not a 3-down player. You're not playing every snap at 380 pounds. It's just not realistic. So I think the aim for the Titans will be finding that sweet spot where his production and those percentages are still good, but you can get him on the field more. Because the more snaps you play at the next level, and obviously the more good linemen you go up against at the next level, there will be a happy medium between those numbers. And your percentage of wins are going to go down, but you're also on the field more and you're making more plays throughout the flow of an entire game.
Yeah.
I will say I'll push back just a little bit on that. For a guy his size, I'm looking at PFF stats on him as far as total amount of snaps played. He played 503 in the first round. Byron Murphy played 438. You have other smaller guys, Tyler Davis out of Clemson, I think that was drafted shortly after him, that had 474 snaps. What's super interesting about T'Vondre Sweat is this. Of his 503 snaps, 309 of them are pass rush.
Well, the counterpoint to that, though, is he also played 3 extra games.
Yeah,
than most of the guys in this class, because he played a conference championship game, a playoff game, and or 2 extra games then.
Yeah, compare 1-to-1 with Byron Murphy, still super unique for a guy his size. So that's definitely or Mason Graham this year also out of Michigan, played similar games, more games than him. He played 442. It's there. I'm with you. His conditioning and dropping, if he can get 340, I mean, golly, we're talking about a dude that he already think he's an athlete, and he is.
Yeah.
Brent Hubbs told us, because he did the broadcast with us on Friday, out of high school, he went to Texas as a DN.
260 pounds.
Yeah, he gained a lot as he went on.
He gained the size that I was in college as a college athlete while he was in college.
Well, because coming out of high school too, like a lot of these, defensive linemen, offensive linemen, like his mom, when he was really young and he was a big boy then, was like, I'm putting you in hoops to get your footwork and to be able to kind of be light on your feet, right? Yeah. And he kind of talked about that in a feature story about how his mom put him in basketball at a very early age so he could be somewhat coordinated, because she knew how big he was going to be. And by golly, like you said, gaining the amount that he did and was still able to be that athletic. This is also, guys, a guy, and I think they got a lot of them in this draft, really football IQ in terms of being high. That's there.
Yeah.
And I like that out of a lot of these players they got.
TJ in the F&M Bank chat on Facebook says, come on, Roman, Will can't ever be wrong. Come on, Roman, what are you talking about?
Did we spell that wrong?
Yeah, Roman. I almost named one of my kids that. Chef Rand in the F&M Bank chat said he gained a college Will Bowling.
Yeah, I know.
That's what he did.
He really did.
Yeah.
Not saying much, but
that's great. It's
about as light as a feather, but that's okay.
But if you look at somebody that they needed, a position of need, it was definitely interior D-line at some point. That helps the outside rushers, I'd hope. Yeah. That helps the linebackers, keeping them clean. If he keeps his responsibilities as far as holding the interior line, he is a 2-man blocker. That's just what he is. He's got his hands full, though. I'll say this, though. Lloyd Cushenberry, I'm sure, is looking forward to this one.
Oh, God.
You got a veteran.
Some of these camp battles, I'm looking so forward to.
Yeah. Very much so, man.
We'll continue to break that one down as the show goes on more, because I do think that is maybe the boldest pick that Rand made, considering where they took T'Vondre Sweat. And Rand Carthon will join us within the hour at 7:20. I am interested to ask him what the specific traits are that Sweat has that he doesn't think he could have found elsewhere at defensive tackle. Because there was a run on defensive tackle that started with Johnny Newton from Illinois going at 36. And I'm curious, if Johnny Newton doesn't go at 36, do you accept an offer to trade back? Because I think Rand Carthon noticed in the moment, all right, a run on defensive tackles is about to start. One of them has already went off the board. Clearly, Sweat is the one that they liked the most. We talked about that at the end of the show Friday. We knew 100% from people we'd talked to that the interest in Devondre Sweat was very real for the Tennessee Titans. Between pick 36 and pick 54, 6 defensive tackles went off the board, including the Los Angeles Rams giving away their 2025 second-round pick to get Braden Fisk, one pick behind you. It's almost like the Titans are getting punished for how bad of a trade that was by the Rams. Truly. And Braden Fisk may end up being a great player, but they paid so much to move up to 39 that I think people are now asking the question of, well, why did the Titans take that offer?
What we don't know is this, too. What will this defense look like? What would Denard Wilson want his defensive front, his linebackers in the back end of this defense look like too? Mm-hmm. Because we're talking about two totally different body types as it pertains to Braden Fisk versus Devondre Sweat. Is he and I'll correlate this to this because we all know, is he of the Baltimore Ravens mindset? Give me a big old dude up the middle and let him wreak havoc. Whereas you have a team like the LA Rams, who have historically, as of late, went for smaller, athletic guys to get upfield. And that's exactly what Braden Fisk is. He's a dude that wants to go side to side, more of a, what do you want to call him, a bullet up the field more than a space eater type of guy. So those are the things in this year one of watching what Denard Wilson and also watching what Brian Callahan does as coaches. We don't know yet. You know what I'm saying? So to that point, the Rams went for their guy and got their guy and paid for him, too.
It's true. The analysis from Greg Cosell on Devondre Sweat, not as much, and again, it's kind of the point I'm making, too. It's not as much the snap counts in college. It's more moving forward. You're going to have trouble playing at that weight in the NFL. And that's what Greg Cosell wrote on the 33rdteam.com. There will likely be limitations in the number of snaps he can play given his weight, but that is normal in the NFL. You have more rotational pieces that you can rotate in different situations. So, a fair point. Cedric Gray. Man, I like this guy at inside linebacker a lot.
Me too.
I think the Titans got everything that they wanted in an inside linebacker at pick 106. And Chad Ryder of NFL Network or NFL.com was the guy that said that to us and said, I think the Titans can wait. They don't have to get their linebacker on day 2 if they don't want to. Cedric Gray is not only their linebacker, he's their defensive play caller. Started all 12 games last season, 121 tackles. The athletic numbers aren't amazing. They don't wow you. But guys like this who just have so much production, 37 starts, 51 games, 369 tackles, 5 interceptions, 8.5 sacks. The production is there for Cedric Gray.
It is. He's a see-ball, get-ball type of linebacker. Again, North Carolina's put out a good product this year as far as the draft picks and the players that they put in the draft. He was a main catalyst of this also. Again, side to side, can get up the field. I think we're seeing a trend, too. I think Denard Wilson and Frank Bush love linebackers that can blitz and get to the ball well, to get to the quarterback well. That's something that he also does.
He emphasized that in his interview.
Big time. His TFLs, his side to side. Again, 4.6 40. That's one of those things where you may want him at a 4.5, but the dude is productive and gets people down on the ground.
I think it will be a good pairing if it happens that way. And look, they said he's going to battle it out with Dr. Gibby, obviously.
Jack
Gibbons. And I very well believe that will be the case in camp. But I really feel like this could be a great pairing with Kenneth Murray, who we look at as a little bit different of a player, right? And who's kind of getting a second chance here. And they're going to, like Denard Wilson says, let him play free. So I think this is a really good match with that. You talked about the experience, Will, playing 3 years, a lot of snaps in college. And I asked him about that specifically. And he said that it has really helped prepare me for the next level. He feels like he understands the game well. He feels like, he's going to be ready to be a player that can start right away. This is also a guy that thought he was going to be the next Julio Jones.
Yeah,
he was a wide receiver. It just goes to show kind of how versatile he was. And he's not overly athletic, but a guy that has obviously played some different positions. But the biggest thing out of him, guys, that I see is he's so smart. He's so football savvy. And you need somebody like that in that linebacker room, but that also has the qualities to make plays.
Another UNC inside linebacker. I know Charles Davis made note out of it on the NFL Network broadcast, but similar to the Titans pick and Zach Brown in the last decade, inside linebacker, who is another cerebral, athletic, quick, sideline to sideline linebacker the Titans had, who ended up having a good career in the league. I like Cedric Gray a lot. I also love Jarvis Brownlee Jr. I think maybe the best value the Titans got in the draft were Gray and Brownlee, who, when he spoke to the media, made it clear that he was pacing around his room the entire draft. He was not happy to still be on the board, and pretty much said it, and to the effects of, I'm pretty happy right now, but I'm also pretty upset.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It is. It is, man. Again, and Louisville's been putting out some product for a while, too.
They have.
He's a guy, again, I love the edge and attitude to him. I know he's got to show that on the field. You can be upset all you want to, but that amounts to nothing if you're not going to play ball the correct and proper way and go make plays, man. But, again, coming out of Louisville, a guy that can play inside, outside. You love the way he attacks it and everything. I'm looking forward to seeing where he finds his fit. He's got Elijah Molden. He's got some Roger McCreary to compete up against.
Sure.
That's what I like about this pick more than anything, a bunch of similar guys who are going to have to be fighting for spot. And I threw Elijah in there just simply because if there's a situation where somebody's got to play the dime, who's it going to be? Is it Jarvis Brownlee? Is it him, Elijah Molden? I think it's pretty much secure at a point to where you see Roger McCreary as being your nickel guy that has played well and has some emotional stock with the coaching staff and to the type of job that he can get done. So I like the competition aspect of this pick.
Yeah, you mentioned just waiting that long. He said, I'm going to be playing with a chip on my shoulder, which is always good, especially when you're in that cornerback room. But this was another guy that they saw at the Senior Bowl. I thought they probably fell in love with there because he had a really good few days down there at the Senior Bowl, sticking out and just some of the things that he was able to do against some of the top wide receivers. So, again, something that stuck with them through the process of drafting him.
615-737-1045. Coming up, the Greg Cosell comp for Tavondre Sweat. He's got 3 names of NFL defensive linemen. You're going to love the comparison that he is making for the newest Titans defensive line anchor. Coming up next.
Well, this is the worst time of year to be dealing with that joint pain, right? You want to get out and enjoy everything that comes along with the warm weather, whether that be hiking, jogging, biking. Hey, it's Kayla Anderson. Listen, don't go through the summer missing out on life. Call QC Kinetics now and find out how they can use biologics from your own body to give you life to your joints. Again, QC Regenerative Medicine is using protocols that can restore and repair that damaged tissue. No surgery, no steroids, no drugs, and best of all, no downtime. It's the future of medicine, folks, and tens and thousands of QC Kinetics patients around the country are living their best life because they made the call. QC medical professionals are under the direction of Dr. Mitchell Shinecup, and he's awesome when it comes to knowing what he is doing, years of experience in this business. So call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. I can't talk this morning, but that's okay. I need a little bit of QC Kinetics in my life. Revolutionary treatments for your joint pain here. Call them at 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
Monday morning, wrapping up hour number 1 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roasted. Coming up in a half hour, Titans GM Rand Carthon. No need for us to scout these players. We'll just let the guy who actually scouted them scout them for you.
No doubt.
Right here on the show. We'll talk about the Titans' new defensive play caller potentially on the field coming up in 15 minutes. Exactly what the Titans' newest inside linebacker said about calling plays. But guys, on the 33rdteam.com, Greg Cosell of NFL Films and of the Install, heard exclusively on the 104.5 The Zone podcast network with our Buck Rising, writes, the more I watched T'Vondre Sweat, the more I liked him. And there is no question he is more than just a big space eater defending the run in a confined space. Greg Cosell says he reminds me of Dexter Lawrence, Vita Vea, and Fletcher Cox. Sign me up for that next to Jeffrey Simmons. He goes on to write, Sweat is a fascinating prospect as you project and transition him to the NFL, given his size, strength, and movement combination. Sweat is a massive man who has space heater qualities and is a challenge to block one-on-one in the run game. The thing I thought was most interesting was the fact that Brian Callahan said, we can scheme around edge rushers, but as an offensive play caller, the guys that give me the biggest issues are the dudes who plug up the middle because you can't get around those guys. If they go through you, that is the hardest thing as an offensive play caller.
I'm telling you. That is a headache and a half trying to set up your offense. Okay, imagine trying to run right, okay? And you got to cut off, or I'm playing left guard and the center, and he's over the center. And you're trying to cut him off at, I'll go 340 plus. I got a feeling he'll be there before the start of the season.
Right.
340. And not only just that, he's got the power to get upfield and push the pocket. That immediately pushed the running back. Okay? It disrupts the plays. Those are headache types of guys. Now, again, there's ways to scheme around a guy in a sense. All right, we're going to stick with him as much as we possibly can. But if you watch his college tape, they tried to do that. In moments where it was 4th and 1 and he was getting double teamed, he still got to the backfield. The thing that's most promising on his tape to me is this. When you watch him make tackles at the line of scrimmage, he's just not laying on the tackle. He's still trying to explode through the player to tackle. It's almost as if he's going at it like a linebacker light. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, my job is done. I'm just going to lay on somebody. No, he's actually still upfield and exploding through guys while having 1 or 2 individuals on him. And he, again, I think he's a small guy in the body of a 300-pounder at this point right here. So he moves and act like he's still 260, which is a really good thing. It is an incredible mindset, Kayla.
So my question to you is, you'll see him in camp. Obviously, you guys are pretty much ready to go or getting ready to go in camp. What would you like to see him at weight-wise to start the season, and what do you feel like he maybe needs to do to be ready to be a starter day one? You
know how we broke camp every single year?
Yeah.
Physical conditioning precedes anything else. I'll be real with you. I could care less about where his weight is when he comes in if he can run.
Okay.
If he can run and stay on the field, he could be 350, 355. That's where I think they will want him at. If he can get to the 40s, even better. But if he can run and sustain being out there for drives, the conditioning is what matters. The hardest thing about bigs is being in condition. The hardest thing about small guys is taking big hits.
Yeah.
He has to be in condition. He got to make the hard thing look easy.
You know what he's used to, too, down in Austin? Because I've been there plenty of times.
Heat.
Very similar situation with the heat.
Yeah.
Humid. It's very similar in terms of what camp will be like here, too, which is good to note.
Yeah.
Interesting, too, Dane Brugler, before his DWI and the off-field incidents, had T'Vondre Sweat ranked as his number 33 player in the draft. After the DWI, he had him ranked 129. I think the difference in that is that, again, I think people's view of the draft changes when you can get on Pro Football Focus and do your own, or get on ESPN.com and do your own. Because then he might not be available to you in the, maybe you pick T'Vondre Sweat on a mock draft simulator in the 4th round. It only takes one team to not care about the off-field stuff in the similar fashion that you do. And not care probably is not the right choice of words, but it only takes one other team to have the same realization that you do. That's probably a better way to phrase it.
Mm-hmm. And we
about a prospect and all the off-field stuff in order to take him.
Right.
And you don't get that opportunity again if somebody else has the same evaluation.
And we talked about the possible, scenario where they could trade back, right? Specifically, you saw what the Rams did. And they addressed that. Rand addressed that and said, look, we had an opportunity, but we just thought it wasn't for us because we believed this much in getting T'Vondre Sweat. And so they definitely had to have done their due diligence in terms of digging up whatever they wanted to dig up. And I trust that staff in being like, okay, if that's what you see and you see this guy being a contributor in the future, then you have to go with it.
Let me ask y'all this real quick before we go. Would you have been sick if he'd have gone to a place like Philly?
Yeah.
T'Vondre.
This is the kind of pick that they made. It's the kind of pick
For
they
sure.
made with Jalen Carter.
Yeah, and that paid off for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's similar in some ways, for sure. 615-737-1045. What the Titans' newest green dot linebacker said about calling defensive plays in the NFL. That's next as Hour 2 begins.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson for Wang Vision Institute, now offering intense pulse light treatments. And you're wondering, maybe, what is that? Pretty cool. It's a photofacial treatment, and it's great in terms of evening out your skin tone. Maybe you've had damage to your skin because of the sun. You're seeing those dark spots appear. These treatments are also awesome for hyperpigmentation, something that I have dealt with for years. And since I've been doing these treatments, I've seen a world of a difference. So for more information on IPL treatments, along with other services, you can visit wangvisioninstitute.com today. Plus, obviously, it's in the name, Wang Vision Institute, but they do everything in terms of your eye health to the best ability. Everybody from the front desk to the doctors are incredible at making you feel at home. When you get in there, they make sure to take you through your whole eye check. I hadn't done it in probably 10, 15 years and went in and got mine all done, which made me feel a lot better for, dealing with what I'm dealing with my eyes now and in the future. So to get online, you can do a free online vision seminar that takes place every Tuesday. So tomorrow at 6:45 p.m., you can RSVP, schedule your free consultation and your treatment today at wangvisioninstitute.com.
Oh, voice guy. Tickets are sold out. If you didn't get your install tickets this year, you're going to get them next year. So slow. Hate it for you. Good morning, 7 o'clock, 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans wrapped up draft weekend, day 3, selecting 5 players, including Cedric Gray, linebacker from UNC, Jarvis Brownlee, cornerback from Louisville, Jaquan Jackson, wide receiver from Tulane, a number of other players. But we'll get to talk about all those players with Rand Carthon joining the show at 7:20 to break down the Titans draft class and surmise the entire draft weekend. Post-draft free agency is underway. 2 big signings, one yesterday, one this morning. The first being Mekhi Becton signing a 1-year deal with the Eagles up to $5.5 million to be their swing tackle. Zeke Elliott back to Dallas after spending 1 season in New England. Both of those free agency signings will not, in fact, impact comp picks, as Monday, 4 o'clock, both of them have to take a physical first. Neither one of those will affect the comp pick formula. A heartbreaking loss for the Preds as they fall to Vancouver 4-3 in overtime. Preds led 3-1 with 3 minutes to go. Series back to Vancouver with the Canucks leading the series 3-1. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 2 starts right now on a Monday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast. Coming up in 15 minutes, Tennessee Titans general manager Rand Carthon will join the show. We'll ask him about how involved Bill Callahan was in the J.C. Latham pick, the qualities he sees in each of the new members of the Tennessee Titans, and what he learned from a trip to the Lone Star State vetting Tavondre Sweat, who, I'll be honest, guys, he may have been picked at pick 38. It feels like we're talking about a first-round draft pick, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. With no third-round pick, with a little bit of the risk you take, with the skill set, with the impact on this defensive line, the Titans made a big swing, to say the least, in the second round on Friday night, and we'll see how far that ball goes into the outfield. See if it's a home run or a can of corn.
And I think sometimes fans, you can think however you want, but being somebody who covered this team when they did draft Isaiah Wilson and all that stuff went down, there is a lot of stuff that still lingers from that, whether it be not vetting enough into his past when he was at Georgia because it was that pandemic year and you didn't have these guys in-house, to when he arrived here never being able to get down to the weight he was supposed to get at, to just the off-the-field incident that he had a couple times here in Nashville. There's a lot there that probably irked a lot of people. And so I think when you make choices sometimes, even with a new staff, maybe that will play in the back of your head. But this is the thing. It is a new staff, and I believe they do everything the way that they need to do in terms of vetting these players and making sure they're getting the right fit. Look, Rand Carthon knows who he answers to, and Amy, I'm sure back then, that sticks with her too, you know? So I think you're not going to try to make the same mistake twice if you're Rand Carthon and company. So I think that's just one thing to, give this pick an opportunity, a chance, because I really think, like you guys said, it does feel like we're more so talking about maybe a first-round pick here and what he could possibly be able to do on the field. Jeff was the first guy to tweet out that thank you for bringing in a guy like this. If Jeff does that too, I think like he's opening him or will welcoming him with open arms. I think it's going to be a really spectacular duo if things turn out. And
Rand Carthon said Jeff, I think, called him.
Yeah.
As soon as they put in the pick and said, hey, send me a big fella's number. I need to reach out to him. Yeah. He just said, thank you for the help, is what Rand said in his press conference on Friday.
That was kind of cool. And that's what you got to somewhat lay your head on more than anything is the fact that he's going to be surrounded. You got guys that have gone through situations before on this team, and I'll also just drop this. Everybody has a situation, right, that you're not super proud of, and it's a matter of how you correct yourselves coming out of that thing. And that's where Tavondre is. That's where the rest of the squad is in general. And that even goes for the first rounder, too, moving from right to left. Like, you got to see how it unfolds. I feel like with all of these draft picks, though, for the most part, you have fallback plans for almost each one of them, right? Tavondre may be one that you say, all right, we just got to see how this one's going to work as far as his position and play. But if you got a situation where JC doesn't work at left, put him at right, put him at guard. You got situations right there. The big safety, what is his name? Jackson, right?
James Williams.
James Williams. If he doesn't work at safety, put him at linebacker. Doesn't work at linebacker, put him at safety. The same goes for Cedric Gray. Like, he can rush off the ball. You make him a teamer. There's a lot of different roles for guys on this team to where wherever they're picked at might not be the spot that they end up at, but they may end up being productive. And I know you got to be in a spot now where you're starting to hit on these guys in the draft. So the evaluation may not line up with what the fans want, right? What we want as people that cover this. But if you're getting 3-4 years out of your later round guys and even some second contracts, that's a dub. Mm-hmm. Production. You went, 6 for 6 last year? Wiley was, or how many picks was it? 6? 6 for 6 last year. Wiley being the only one that was in and out with injuries and stuff like that.
Well, Colton Dowell didn't play much.
But he was effective when he came in.
He became big in the end for especially
I don't know if you can call him a hit, though.
Right.
Like, I don't know how many of them you can say are hits. Yeah. Jalen Duncan playing, like, he didn't play well, but he played. Like, is he playing because he was thriving in practice and really, really good, or because no one else could hold down that position?
Well, I think it's that also, but the fact that he was available and gave you something for a dude that was expected to be developmental, yes, that was a hit. If you look at Colton Dowell's situation, before he got injured, he was thriving as a special teamer for a 7-round receiver who wasn't a primary offensive weapon. That's a hit to me also. You didn't waste a 7-round pick on Colton Dowell.
I think
it was 6 picks last year.
6 picks.
I think we also can say, if in terms of Jalen Duncan, now with an actually legit line coach, like, if he can really be a guy that can take it to the next level, I think even give him one more season here to even say, maybe that didn't work out, or yes, it really did.
Mm-hmm. Peter, the FNN Big Chat on Facebook, says, you guys have to remember more questions surrounded Jeffrey Simmons when he came out. There is some truth to that.
Yeah.
There were absolutely questions around Jeffrey Simmons, and he was the perfect example of a guy taking his NFL platform, making the most of it, and becoming a leader in a locker room and answering all those questions and passing those tests with flying colors.
Right.
I think the Titans are definitely, I know that the Titans are more incentivized to take a risk on a defensive lineman, knowing that Jeffrey Simmons is in that room with that defensive lineman every day. Yeah. I think it makes a big difference. They also get a leader in Cedric Gray, the inside linebacker out of North Carolina, who told the media over the weekend, I pride myself on having a great football mind and understanding the game, understanding the defense, understanding where everyone is supposed to be, but also understand how the offense is going to attack us and be able to communicate, get everyone lined up. The exact quote, I see myself as a leader. I feel like I can lead a group of men. So I think being a green dot guy, which if you're unfamiliar, that is the defensive play caller who is talking with your defensive coach in his helmet, in his headset, says being a green dot guy would fit me perfectly. Yeah. It's what they need.
Yeah, it is. And, of course, you get a guy like Kenneth Murray now that can just fly, especially if he can pick up Denard Wilson. Cedric Gray can pick up Denard Wilson's defense as quick as he needs to. I mean, you got your answers. You got your answers to the test right there. And, again, of course, better in the defensive line, help those guys out, too. Better in the back end of this defense, help those guys out, too. It is a process. Again, we're all excited because we're still in the honeymoon phase. We are. From the coaches to the front office to these draft picks right now, even with Tajay, seeing Tajay do it again, right? We believe in what he's going to do, but seeing it happen again is where you are. But you got to feel somewhat better about it with the amount of size that you added to this roster.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, too, when rookie minicamp starts up in a couple of weeks, because Look, there's always the storylines that follow rookie minicamp because that's what media loves to do is create storylines. But I really am interested to see these guys in person and just react to what they're able to do with their teammates and how they're interacting. Because I do feel like this class, and we're talking about them a little bit as we get through today, each one of them. But in a guy like Cedric Gray, I said that might be one of my favorite picks of this draft, just because of the experience that he brings and the role that he might be able to fill right away. And I think, if anything, bring the competition. Like they're bringing in guys that are going to compete for starting jobs at several positions. And I think that's going to be really fun to see once camp comes along.
Trippin' Titans at the F&M Bank chat asks, has Gray called plays before? Yes, he has. For 2 seasons at North Carolina, sophomore season and junior season. Said he, in high school, was only a C-ball hit ball player. It wasn't until the summer before his sophomore year of college when that understanding broadened, and from there became a defensive play caller, one of the best playmakers in the ACC.
He's also a super, I feel like this trait goes under recognized sometimes, especially with nowadays and how NIL and transfer portal is just a thing. He had the opportunity to transfer out of North Carolina to go to bigger schools a couple of times, I think. And he was asked about that and said, I never even thought about it. This guy is super loyal, like is going to do everything he can to be like, my number one thing is my team. And I think that is such a great quality to have in some of these young men now, that not putting it on them or blaming them for transferring and doing NIL stuff. But there are still players out there that are super loyal to, one thing.
Yeah. Bert, you're a Carolina. Like, what was your thoughts on this one?
I don't want to say I'm not a huge fan. I am a big fan of how he plays. I just think to go ahead and give him that green dot is a little forward. I think he has to play a little bit more.
Okay.
Some of the big knocks on him was diagnosing and keying. And when you're the green dot, you've got to get the whole defense in order. I think he'll be young, but who knows? Maybe he surprises people. To fix those things, to fix the diagnose and diagnose things, you just have to play.
Right.
You have to see more defenses, see more plays. So I don't know if you would slide him in as the green dot week 1, but he probably has the ability to do that.
Coming up next, Tennessee Titans general manager Ran Carthon joins us on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling here for my friends at Lead Company. And look, you hear me talk all the time about how Lead Company, they're all you need for all seasons here in Middle Tennessee. Mother Nature's so unpredictable. Electricity. Hey, look, that's something that could be pretty unpredictable as well. If you have a ceiling light fixture that flickers, if you need an extra outlet or two, maybe you have wall switches that don't seem to work. Well, these all seem to be simple issues. However, they are rarely do-it-yourself projects. Look, I know that when I do it myself, I just end up making things worse around the house. Well, dealing with electricity, that requires the expertise of an experienced professional. You got to call the pros over at Lee Company. Their electrical team can solve any problem you have safely and efficiently. And right now, you can enjoy $20 off an electrical service call for a limited time. Contact Lee Company, 615-567-1000, or go to leecompany.com for an appointment. That's 615-567-1000, online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. Monday morning continues on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW brewed up by 8th and Rose. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Pleased to be joined by Tennessee Titans General Manager Rand Carthon. Rand, first of all, I just want to thank you on the 8th round of the NFL draft that starts today. I want to thank you just for celebrating everyone's favorite undrafted lineman and spending some time with Ramon Foster and us this morning. We really appreciate that.
Top of the top, how we doing? I love the way we coming in.
Hey, man.
We're fully caffeinated.
Undrafteds matter, baby. You feel me?
I was right there with you, baby. So you know I'm with you.
Absolutely.
That's exactly right. Rand, as you look at this class as a whole, what traits do these players have that you have made Titans over the weekend that you feel like they have in common that you really valued in looking at this class as a whole in the draft process?
Well, one thing they have in common is a lot of J's. 5 out of the 7 guys' names start with J, so we can start there. But no, this group, they all love football. They all love football. They all have something to prove to people. I think you can go down the list. You know, you got JC in the first round. Everybody's concerned with whether he can play left tackle or not, so he's ready to prove to the world he could do that. Sweat, with everything he has going on, he has people questioning him, questioning his weight, so he has something to prove. Cedric probably feeling like he should have gone higher. A lot of people felt he should have gone higher. Everybody's fixated on the green dot communicator situation, so he's going to want to prove that. And then you got Jaquan. Wants to show people, what he can do, his size. Everybody's saying, things about him. Jarvis wants to prove to everyone that, he can play inside, he can play outside, and he can dominate on special teams. And then you got James. He's got to show everybody, with a position transition, going to linebacker. He wants to prove to people who he is and what he can do. All the way down. So, Jalen has to show everybody that he wasn't just another guy on the Michigan defense, and he can rush the passer, he can drop and cover. So we got a bunch of guys that want to prove their worth, and they all are passionate about football.
Titans General Manager Rand Carthon, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Rand, starting from the top with J.C. Latham, how involved was Bill Callahan in that pick? What specifically does he like the most about J.C.?
Well, I'll tell you, all of our coaches were very involved. That's the way we do things here. Our scouts kind of set the table. They've done a lot of work. They've been, it's crazy. Like, your mind is already on next year's draft, and getting a preliminary list, and you can start, getting a head start on watching, previous year's tapes on some of these guys. So, Coach Bill was, very involved, as are all of our coaches. And, how could you not like, a large human with a length and, paws for hands and, that's just extremely strong and has, incredible grip strength. So he's going to fit in fine here.
Man, Rand, it seems as if y'all started this draft class with something in mind. Get bigger, get faster, get meaner. Is that pretty much how you guys set it up this year? Of course, the quality matters, but it's very apparent within the first 2 picks and, of course, even all the way to the back end.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This division that we play in, that's the brand of football that everybody plays. You look at, what Indy is made of, what Jacksonville's made of, what Houston's made of, and all those teams have incredible fronts, and that we have to be, all prepared to go up against and to have a plan for. So, definitely wanted to, set the tone out of the gate, and, we're going to look real different getting off the bus this year.
No doubt about it, man. Looking real different. I feel like we've talked more about Tavondre than almost anybody, man, because of what he can present. How do you go up setting up a defense with him and Big Jeff? And just how has Jeff's reaction also been? Because in your presser, you said that he called you immediately and was excited about Big Boy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's who Jeff is. Jeff is – he's a great teammate. He's a leader. He's a captain. Everybody knows that about him. But he cares about this program, and he cares about how it's going to look and the type of people that we bring in. And so I know, he called me after, and was like he was excited, and immediately asked for Tavondre's number. And so, quickly gave it to him, let those guys connect. And, just putting another big man next to Jeff that's going to require some attention. You're not just going to be able to just load up and just push those two guys off the ball, which will then create some freedom for the linebackers at the second level, to stay clean and run around and use their athletic traits and make some plays. So, it's a good problem for Denard to have to kind of figure out schematically how he wants to do it.
Now, the real question is who you siding with, because, of course, you get Tavondre in a second, but you also have a very nice free agent center in Lloyd Cushenberry. At some point in time, he going to tick off, Tavondre, and I just need to know who going to break that fight up and who you siding with, Ram.
Well, it won't be me. I'm staying out of the fray. Just the way my insurance policy is set up, so I'm staying out of that one. We'll leave that to Zach Woodfin and his staff. The strength coaches love to jump in the middle of the fight and the scuffle, so we'll let them have that. But it won't be me. I promise you that.
Grant Carthon, general manager of the Tennessee Titans, joined us on RKW. Okay, right out of the gate, I'm guessing you watched the Preds game last night, and you saw the exchange of the catfish from your news center, Lloyd Cushenberry, to Will Levis. So was that approved? Is that all good?
I will be honest with you. I did not watch the Preds game last night.
You got to go back and look at that exchange.
I will. My daughter and her teammates at Ravenwood, they won. They three-peated as state champions in the girls' flag football league.
Okay.
So I was there all day and then celebrating with her and the team and the parents and the families last night. So we were out pretty late doing that. But there we go. So super excited for those girls. They had an incredible season and worked really hard. I'm just extremely excited for it's been a Williamson County thing, and now I'm extremely excited for this to spread throughout the state. I think we became the 10th state to sanction girls flag football as a true varsity sport. So our girls there at Ravenwood, they've three-peated. So it's been really cool, and was out celebrating with them last night.
Dude, congratulations on that. I wish I would have had that in high school, because I definitely would have taken part in that. It's such a great opportunity. You're exactly right. So that's something that continues to grow, and I hope that other states pick that up as well. Speaking of offensive linemen, though, just the choice to take J.C. Latham, I think the more and more people heard from him and kind of looked into this decision, the more people felt like, okay, just because he didn't play left tackle at Alabama doesn't mean he can't switch over to that and go back to what he did in high school. But in terms of just that process, how do you feel like that will take place over the next few months, and what will be maybe the most challenging part for him?
I mean, it's the only way to do it is put him over there. You know what I mean? And put him over there and just live through the ebbs and flows. It's going to be an adjustment. It just is what it is. Even if he played left tackle his whole life, if he's coming into the National Football League, it's the best in the world over there. They got guys in this league like Nick Bosa making $30 million. It's going to be an adjustment trying to block those dudes. You know what I mean? So, you just put him over there and let him take his lumps. He'll fight through it. And one thing, I don't like to compare any player to Hall of Famers, but, just because he played right tackle doesn't mean he can't play left tackle. I mean, Jonathan Ogden was the 4th overall pick when he came out of his first year. He played guard. And then he became one of the best left tackles to ever play the game and got a gold jacket. So, J.C. Latham isn't the first, won't be the last, first-round pick on the O-line to make a position change in the NFL. How
much intel did you get from, obviously, a guy that already went to Tulane that's on your roster in Tajay Spears when it came to Jaquan Jackson? I just thought that moment was really cool. And what do you like about this guy?
Man, so if you guys know Tajay, he's full of personality.
Yeah.
Jaquan is his guy. Tajay showed up at the Senior Bowl this year to support him. And he's come in my office a few times asking if we were looking at him, asking if we were looking at at his quarterback as well. So he's just like all these other guys that are fighting for guys from their alma mater. But I thought it was a really cool moment as well. What people don't know is I didn't know that Tajay was going to be there with him, on draft day. So right before we picked, I actually tried to FaceTime Tajay, and tried to give him a heads up and say, hey, man, are you ready to, add a new roommate And so he missed the call, and then we called Jaquan and, let him know that we were going to take him. And then right after that, Tajay, hits me back. He was like, "Is this real? Is this real?" And he, then everybody starts going crazy. So he's super excited. I know both of those guys have already called, and Tajay's like, "Hey, how soon can I bring him in? We ready to get to work." So I told them both, like, bring that same energy. That same energy you guys had at Tulane, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, to get some extra work in. That's going to set the tone around here. I walked in this morning, and looked out on the practice field and probably already had about 8 guys, at 6:30 in the morning getting their workout in, getting ready for the day. So it's been that type of thing throughout the offseason. But, Jaquan's just going to bring a guy that has versatility. He's going to bring an explosive nature to the offense that, as you got to score points in this league to win football games.
Titans general manager Rand Carthon, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Rand, you mentioned over the weekend you had a lot of offers for the 38th overall pick, but instead you did decide to stick and pick and go with T'Vondre Sweat. What qualities does he have that you feel like maybe other guys in the class didn't have that encourage you to stay there and make him a Titan?
Mass, power, and length, is what he has and what he's going to add, to the team. And the one thing too, like you said, we had a few offers come in, and just because you have offers coming in, don't mean that they're good ones, And so I think that's what people always forget about, or people want you to move up and down, and that's fine, but you got to have partners to move up and down. You don't just get to say, "Hey, I don't want to pick at 38. We want to move down to 44 and pick." So and plus the way we had our board. And looking at our board and, the level and the quality of player that we were looking for at 38, we felt like Big Sweat was the best person for that. And so, it was a collective effort by all parties, myself, Callie, A-Rob, and, Tracy Rocker and Denard and, Clint McMillan. It was a collective effort from all of us to make sure that we were getting, the best football player and best person.
Rand, 6 of the 7 guys you drafted were Senior Bowl guys. Obviously, I don't have to tell you that. And you and Coach Callahan were filling out a coaching staff during the Senior Bowl. What was that film review process like? How did you multitask and do both? I feel like maybe people on the internet don't think you can do 2 things at once, Rand.
Yeah, and I'm laughing because of, the lumps that we took for not attending the Senior Bowl, Coach and I in person. But that's the biggest thing, like you said, like you get the tape. You get the tape, and with technology, we can get specifically every rep that each of those guys had, whether in practice or the game, which allows you to, make that a singular focus, when you're at the actual Senior Bowl. And you get to, we had a full staff down there. We had a full, staff of scouts down there that did the work. As well as interview all these guys. And so you come back and you have a good idea about who they are as people, and then you get to sit down and watch the tape, and not only watch the tape that week, but, the tape all the way leading up to the draft. So you get to see that whole experience. But, all those guys stood out. Those guys, went down to the Senior Bowl. And represented themselves well. So just glad to have all that. And, like I said, it's the game and the way that we know scouting to be is changing. And so you have to be ever evolving, and you have to find the best and most efficient ways, because, you guys go to the combine and you see what the combine is and what it's become. And, it's a lot of unproductive work, going on. And so we want to be productive and maximize, our time, because the time that we have is so limited.
You got to see the results of everything in about 2 to 3 years, right? As it pertains to how you draft and the moves that you make. And the draft we see is also made up of runs. The moment that I think was it the Michigan D tackle left,
Johnny Newton at 36.
Johnny Newton, there was a run on D tackles. In your perspective, to not trade out and your mindset, do you think there would have been somebody that definitely took T'Vondre ahead of you guys, which is why you pulled the trigger also?
Absolutely. And, regardless of what, I promise everything that we do, we're well researched, and we know. And what people don't see is the text messages and the calls you get from teams, after you take, quote unquote, their guy, and how many texts and calls were, "Oh, we were taking him with our next pick." or great pick, and that's not just Tavondre, that's with most of these guys. And so there's a lot of, backroom conversation going on, but trust me, had we tried to move, and I trust me, I had a earmark, on the board of, hey, this is the furthest we could go back and still get a guy of his caliber. And even with that, I'm one of the teams that I earmarked that we could go below to get him, texted and said after the draft that, like, hey, we would have taken him if he was there, so we would have missed out.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Rand, when it comes to Cedric Gray, first of all, love that pick. He mentioned Fred Warner is obviously one of the guys he's always looked up to. You're pretty familiar with Fred Warner. How realistic is it for a rookie to come in right away and possibly wear that green dot?
I think I've said it a couple times and used Fred as my example, that it's all on the player. It's all on the player and the person. People forget Fred Warner didn't even really play in the box as a linebacker. He was more of like a big nickel and played detached over the slot a lot in college and had never played Mike backer. And then next thing you know, this guy's drafted in the third round. He's a starting Mike, and he's communicating and making a call. So it really depends on the person. But Cedric definitely, fits that, 3-year starter, 2-year captain. So he has those leadership traits. He has that ability to do it. And it's just a matter of how he comes in, how he connects with the defense. And, it's up to him. I believe Jack Gibbons can do it as well. And I think we can also be creative. I will tell you, it's going to be a hard time convincing Amani Hooker that he can't do it.
Yep.
I think after one of the pressers I mentioned, Eric Weddle, as a safety, had been the green dot communicator in Baltimore and at his time at the Rams. And as soon as I got back to my desk, I had a text from Armani saying he wanted it. And, how can he go about getting it? And so it's a bunch of different ways to get there. It doesn't necessarily have to be a linebacker.
Tennessee Titans General Manager Rand Carthon, our guest on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Rand, last one for me. At right tackle specifically, you addressed left tackle with J.C. Latham. Who do you see competing at right tackle, and are you still looking to add help there or anywhere else on the offensive line in free agency?
Yeah, all the tackles will compete there. And again, it's about getting your best five. And for us, it isn't just left tackle, right tackle. It's offensive tackle. It's every team has two good rushers, so you better have two good tackles that can block those people. And most teams now put their best rusher over the right tackle. So we're going to figure out the best five. We're going to have them out there. And O-line is just like any other position that we're going to look at today. Is all right, who's the best available on the street that's reasonably priced, because we're not going to go and overspend for a guy just because patience is a virtue, in this thing. And everybody wants the quick fix, and everybody wants, from all teams, you want those positions of need, quote unquote, to be addressed right away. But you have to be patient and understand markets, and you're still working with a salary cap. You got to think about operating budget for the year. So these are all things that people forget, and you're just trying to you just want to fill spots on the roster.
All right, Rand, legitimately.
I know you about to come with some foolishness.
Ratchetness and righteousness, man. This is what we do here.
I ain't even
the
saying
balance
nothing.
between ratchetness and righteousness.
It's the kid in the back of the class over here that's going to end things.
I ain't even said nothing yet, man. Don't mind me.
Yeah, there you go. You said yes.
When he starts turning it around on you, that's when you know that something bad's about to come out of Ramon Foster's mouth.
You got me. You got me. All right, so we got our picks. We're going to get our free agents and everything. By the way, when is Jamaica, man? And are you leaving the kids behind, too? Because you said it, not me. Job is pretty much done, and the coach has got to coach. When we going to Jamaica? And I threw we in there in case you got an extra ticket.
Nope. I don't like you like that. So you will not be joining me in Jamaica. I'm supposed to be going to get peace, not getting stressed out. I promise you, I'm looking forward to it now, trying to figure it out. My wife, she was talking with some of the guys here. She told them I'm a liar, that she doesn't believe I would take the time off to even go do it. I would have liked to do it this weekend, but some things have come up on the calendar for Friday, which will stop me from doing that. But I promise you, it's coming soon. And even if I don't do Jamaica, I might just have to, go find me a cabin somewhere and just, just get away for a couple of days and decompress and then come back ready to go.
Ran in nature. I can't.
You're not invited, Ramon. I want everybody to hear that.
Where you are invited is this weekend when Rand Carthon is on the Install Live with Buck Rising hanging out. Rand, we had two ways to sell tickets. It was obviously you were plan A and getting you to be there and break down the film. Plan B was having you guys break down Ramon Foster's college film out of Tennessee. Luckily, you guys sold this thing out before we even had to get to plan B.
Can we do something to stop people from coming and doing from that standpoint so we can go back and watch some Ramon Foster college tape? Seeing him, I need that. We could set something else up to do that. I'm in.
We can take care of that.
We are recognizing the lineman in his class that did not make it, and we've already gone like 2 breaks with
We're playing like In the Arms of an Angel in the background and just reading off names of guys who didn't get drafted.
Like hate to me.
No, what I'm telling
that's more the ratchet side this morning.
Knocked every one of them off. You feel me, baby? Some of them got 1. I got 11. That's all I'm telling you.
Most of them don't get the picture unless the flash is on, but we don't hate them for it.
If you ever need a scout, baby, I know what they look like. You feel me? I know what the good ones look like.
Rand Carthon, our guest this
I
morning.
think we're good, Ramon. I'm good with this.
That's 2 job opportunities you shut me down on. That's 2 you shut me down on. Right? I'm not getting fired again. I'm telling you.
I can't deal with you every day.
Well, he'll move in silence like the G and lasagna to Jamaica, and Ramon will have no idea. Rand Carthon, our guest. Rand, we appreciate the time as always. Thank you.
Always fun. I appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you.
All right, good stuff. There he is, Rand Carthon, with us here this morning on the show as we always hit it all with the GM. Let's react to that. Give you the chance to react to it as well. It's 615-737-1045 coming up next.
Nashville is such a great place to live. We got great sports, you know that, great entertainment, great restaurants, and we also have one of the top volume Ford dealers in the country right here in Middle Tennessee, Two Rivers Ford. If you haven't checked out Two Rivers Ford lately, they've pretty much got something for everyone. If you're a business owner, guess what? Two Rivers Ford has a commercial fleet division, an entire team dedicated to getting your work trucks and vans for the best price and the best financing, and they deliver what you need quickly because they know time is money. And did you know that Two Rivers Ford has a mobile experience division? Yes. It's 2024 and everything comes to you now. So, well, Two Rivers Ford comes to you also. So if you need maintenance on your vehicle, they'll perform basic maintenance like oil changes and new brakes right at your home or office, or you can schedule pickup and delivery service. Two Rivers Ford will come pick up your vehicle, leave you a loaner, service your vehicle, and bring it back when it's ready. And guess what all these mobile options are? They're the exact same price you pay at the dealership. So when it comes to purchasing a vehicle, too, Two Rivers Ford has a team of experts for every type of vehicle. Electric and hybrid expert, Bronco expert, work truck experts. You're always in excellent hands with Two Rivers Ford sales team. And in case you did not know, the sales team at Two Rivers Ford, they don't work in commission. They're there to service you, answer your questions, bring a vehicle to your home or office to test drive, whatever you need. They just want to make your experience the best it can be. There's a reason why Two Rivers Ford has been around for over 4 decades. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will wrapping up the first half of the show. 615-737-1045 if you want to react to what Rand Carthon just said. And if you missed that conversation with the Titans general manager, take about 5 minutes and it'll be on your favorite podcast feed. It is already there on our end, but it'll be there on your favorite platform in a minute. I thought Rand was great.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
He always has some fun on our show too, right?
Yeah,
you gotta let it out a little bit. You can't be so buttoned up all the time.
After the stressful week all those coaches have been through, again, I messed around with those mock drafts on all those sites, PFF, ESPN, NFL.com. It
stress you out.
It's confusing. 'Cause
Yeah.
when your player is gone, you're like, all right, what do I do now? What do I do now? And like you said, Will said it earlier, just because those sites have those guys slated at certain spots doesn't mean that that's where teams will actually pick him in. And he alluded to that by saying immediately after Tavondre's pick, teams were calling like, we were next up. Season of lies, right?
And what I respect about this, and look, these players got to pan out, right? You got to go out on the field and prove it. That's what Rand said. But I respect the fact they had a plan. Like, I really do feel like throughout this whole draft, they stuck with that plan, right? And it was, we have our players on the board. And even if we have an opportunity to maybe trade down, if they liked that player enough, they were going to take him. And I feel like in several cases that proved to be true.
Kyle is in Shelbyville this morning, 615-737-1045. What's up, Kyle?
What's going on, guys?
Good morning.
What's up, Kyle?
Hey, I'll be honest. At first, I wasn't too thrilled about the J.C. Latham pick, but hearing that guy talk on the afternoon show, man, he won me over. He's a dude. He's a great guy. And guess what? He can play, too. So we filled some serious needs. We needed some help for Simmons. We got that. They can't just pay attention to him. And like we were saying, our linebackers can roam and go free. And that middle linebacker from North Carolina, he is going to command the defense. He's exactly what we needed, and he just fell to us. It was just too perfect. So I've changed my mind. I'm a little thrilled about it, excited, and ready to go.
Let me ask you this. What had you going first in the opposite direction, if you don't mind me asking?
Of course, I was one of those. I wanted alt, and then Neighbors went. I was like, trade back's the only thing I can really be thrilled about. I knew they liked J.C. Latham, but I'd hear so many people who's a right tackle, and I want left so bad.
Yeah.
And they said immediately, move him to left. Like, okay, we got old Bill. Let's do it.
Okay.
and then, I was kind of worried about Sweat. I know he got that incident before he came and visited us, but hey, they saw enough in him. He's 21 years old. Anybody can get in that situation. Let's just be honest. Who hasn't been in the car with somebody who's had a little much to drink at 21? I mean, it happens. Not an excuse, but we've all been there.
Right.
And great. The value of him, he can call the plays, exactly what we need. He can keep the other crazy linebacker in check.
Kenneth
Kelly. Yeah, K9, my bad. And it's just looking like every pick makes sense. In the past, we've been trying to scratch our head, figure out what's going on. This right here, we have a distinct plan, and we can develop these guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kyle.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate the call. Interesting from Rand Carthon. I take away from our conversation with him that I think the starting right tackle for this team in week 1 is currently on the roster. But even if that guy is not, they see left tackle and right tackle as ultimately the same position. Maybe I'm paraphrasing that the wrong way, but he said to us a minute ago, I see it as tackle, not necessarily left and right, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. No, you got to have two strong ones. Like you said, best 5 out there. If you're an athlete, you're going to figure out left or right, you know? And, of course, whatever the trio, if another guy walks in that building, they got to compete. Competition brings out the best, and may the best man win.
I like it. Coming up, the Nashville Predators. Not like this, Preds.
Oof.
Last night, the stats behind a comeback loss you had to, or comeback win you had to see to believe yesterday for the Vancouver Canucks. Next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical telling you, hey, we got a couple days left in the month of April, man, where you can smile and save. From now until tomorrow, I'm here to tell you, you got to take advantage of the big savings on whole home systems, where you can enjoy up to $1,500 off select new HVAC system, whole home water filtration and distillers, or select new whole home generators. If you've been waiting for the right time to upgrade or replace your systems, you don't know how that goes. It's never the right time. You just got to do it. Now's the time, man. Visit happyhiller.com today for details.
What's going on? 801. Good morning. Happy week. Happy Monday from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans wrapped up the draft weekend on day 3, selecting 5 players, including Cedric Gray, linebacker from UNC, Jarvis Brownlee, cornerback from Louisville, and Jaquan Jackson, wide receiver out of Tulane, just to name a few. Rand Carthon was just on the show at 7:20 to break down the Titans draft class. If you missed that, you can listen to it wherever you listen to your podcast. Should be updated as we speak. Post-draft free agency underway. Mekhi Becton signing a 1-year deal with the Eagles, $5.5 million. And breaking news as of this morning, Zeke Elliott back to Dallas after spending 1 year in New England. Heartbreaking loss for the Preds last night as they fall to Vancouver 4-3 in overtime. Preds led 3-1 with 3 minutes to go. Series heads back to Vancouver with the Canucks leading the series 3-1. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. The second half of the show is here. The marching bands have played. Warm-ups have concluded. It's time for the third quarter of RKW. 615-737-1045. That's how you jump in, and that's how you talk to Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling. It is round 8 of the NFL draft. The undrafteds are here. In the arms of an angel. That's where a lot of draft picks in 2009 were that did not have longer careers than Ramon Foster. We celebrate round 8 today.
We do. What's
of the
crazy,
NFL draft.
There were more, if I'm not mistaken, last year undrafted free agents on roster than there was 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounders.
That is
now,
accurate.
to be fair, there's more context to it. There are more undrafted free agents to pick for. There's only 32 in a round per round, and of course, there's about 400 or more free agents. And sometimes you just go under the radar, man. It's a unique situation on how you find, and, you know, those guys can actually go to teams where their talents can actually be used, where sometimes you may be drafted in the wrong spot. We've seen that here, right? Just drafted in the wrong spot, wrong time. Can't get on the field or something bad happens.
One guy who was picked in front of you who did not make it very long, not only is he a former Raven, he is the same name as a character in The Office, Andrew Gardner.
Oh, wow.
The guy that Dwight Schrute wanted to fire as soon as he got there from Stanford. Pick number 185.
Oh, no.
Or no, not pick 185. Pick number 181 by the Miami Dolphins at a Georgia Tech.
Respectfully, never even heard of
What
him.
about pick 193, Matt Slauson, guard, Nebraska.
Nebraska. I know. Matt's cool, though.
That's cool. We'll give him a pass.
I'm just pulling up names. I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. I'm literally Matt had a long career. Congratulations,
All right,
Matt Slauson.
All right,
I think
Matt.
Chicago?
Yep. Jets,
Chicago.
Bears, San Diego, and Los Angeles Chargers, and Indianapolis Colts.
Sure did. Sloss and I were at the Shrine Bowl in Houston together, man. Super cool, gritty guy. Love Matt Sloss.
I can't believe you're breaking down
I love
film on 2009 6th round picks, and you just know these people.
That's
Your
my dude.
Brain is insane.
I got to reach out to Slauson, man. Dang. I'm talking about.
You should bring up why you're reaching out to him, too,
That's
right?
my dude. No, I ain't gonna crap on him. Like, he got.
No, that's what I'm saying.
How
We
many
got
stars
brought
did he
up.
get? You see that, Will, anywhere?
I
Matt
did not.
Slauson. I'll look him up real quick.
The great folks at Wikipedia did not give me that information.
Because we only have one stat, and that is, played in 116 games,
There you go.
113 starts.
Solid.
So Slauson was solid.
He was not in the arms of an angel.
He was not. He
With
was not.
a lot of the other Sarah McLachlan players that did not make it as long as you. Tell you what's in the arms of an angel are the chances of the Nashville Predators of making the second round. I think this series is over.
Yeah.
Led for 57 minutes. Well, didn't lead for 57 minutes, but had a great effort. Good energy in the building for 57 minutes. They outshot the Canucks 30-20. Entered the final 3 minutes of play, leading Vancouver 3-1. I saw one analytics site had Vancouver as a 0.4% chance of winning in the third period of this game. The Vancouver Canucks guys over the weekend in Nashville played 2 games with 2 different goaltenders and scored 2 goals all weekend in even strength. And they won both of them. Series goes back to Vancouver tomorrow night, leading 3-1.
I said, coming back home, it was really important to take advantage of some home ice. And look, the fans did their part. And I saw during 2 commercial breaks, they stayed standing the entire time and just cheered the entire time.
It was good yesterday, yeah.
Right. Because I think on Friday it wasn't as great.
Wasn't as great.
But
nope.
Yesterday it was, and you controlled most of the game. Vancouver at some point, I think really in the third period, had 15 shots on goal. And also on Friday, barely had shots on goal and won that game. And you're just coughing it up like that with just seconds to go. And we saw that same situation, I believe it was in game 2, where there was like a relapse between that first and second goal scored right away by Vancouver, and another kind of incident that happened yesterday towards the end of the game that pushed it into overtime, and then just right into overtime. There you go, and it's over. But this is going to be an uphill battle from here on out. I mean, this team's used 3 goaltenders against this Preds team, and you still can't salvage a win at home. Like, I hate to say it, but I think they're in some extreme trouble, and they could prove me wrong and prove other people wrong. Yeah. But you're going back to Vancouver now, where they've got all the momentum.
This is where on game 2, the conversation about how many shots on goal they had, the offensive efficiency of Vancouver really just didn't show up. And eventually it would, and now it's rearing its ugly head against the Preds, right?
Canucks are the second team in NHL history to have 3 different goalies win each of their first 3 games in a postseason. In Demko, of course, in game 1, Casey DeSmith in game 3, Arturs Silovs yesterday, who made 27 saves in his NHL playoff debut. Vancouver also did it in the 2004 Western quarterfinals.
Yep.
Back then, Chicago in the 1972 quarterfinals was the only other team in NHL history with 3 different goalies to win a game at any point in a series. So the Latvian native, who said he leaned on his experience playing for Latvia in the World Championships, this season in the regular season was 6-2-1. Mm-hmm. A 2.62 goals against average. Also a little bit of a twisting of the knife that on Friday night, Vancouver was the first team to win a playoff game with 12 shots or less since Game 6 of the 2017 Stanley Cup Final, when the Penguins beat the Predators and won the Stanley Cup in Nashville. Just a lot of gut punches were taken by the local professional hockey team over the weekend.
I also was going to add, we talk about luck having play in the playoffs. It really does, unfortunately. And I just felt like, first of all, with the Colton Sissons missed empty netter, I could not believe that did not go in. Because you saw Vancouver right then. They were like, this is over, right?
Everyone in the arena thought it had hit the back of the net and bounced back out. Like, I was at the game yesterday, and half the arena was already celebrating. And off the post from Colton Sissons, game would have been wrapped up at 4-1.
Sounds like
would have been a 2-2 series.
Sounds like a glutton for punishment right here with all this stuff you're really
It very easily could have been 3-1 Preds going into Game 5. I mean, the Preds were pretty bad on Friday night, but they still only held Vancouver to 12 shots.
Right.
And both their goals were power play goals. They just gave up way too many stupid penalties on Friday night. But Arturs Silovs, I was talking to some Vancouver fans at a rooftop downtown, and they were actually super nice. It was one of those where, like, they start trash talking you a little bit, and you have to make a business decision in the moment of, like, do I want to be friends with you or do I really not want to be friends with you? And they were actually super nice. And I told them, I was like, so, like, how's the third string goalie going to do tonight? And they're like, what are you talking about? Wait, what? Is DeSmith out?
Yeah.
And they started freaking out.
Did
like they were,
really?
I'm the one that told them, and I showed them the tweet from the national reporter who was saying it. And they're like, no, that's not real. Why are you pulling my leg?
Yeah.
No, Silovs is going to get the start. And they shook their heads and said, well, we thought that might happen if DeSmith was benched for not playing well in game 2. But, oh, geez. All right, here we go.
And that's what was weird about DeSmith. We didn't see any of the injuries on Friday, and then he even skated in practice. So it was like that came out of nowhere, and coach was being all mum about it before, in media availability. And then, like you said, you have your third goaltender come out at this point, and you're still able to get away. Not getting one win, it really does blow my mind, not being able to win one at home. I think that puts you behind the 8 ball.
How much of the blame is on UC Saros for you, or is it more defensive breakdowns? Because there were 2 horrible defensive breakdowns late in the third period and in overtime too.
There were, Will, and I think you can't put it all on Juice. No, you cannot. However, I think he's still kind of in this now notion of not being able to be that caliber of a playoff goalie, right? Because when it's all said and done, you've got to be able to hold it together.
Yeah.
And we just haven't seen that necessarily out of him.
And I think for me, too, I totally agree with you that you don't blame him for the loss. But at some point, if you're a Vezina finalist caliber goaltender, you've got to save your defensive breakdown sometimes.
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, you look on the other end, and they're on their third goaltender, and they're winning games.
100%.
That's what it comes down to.
At some point, you have got to rob somebody when you are seen as a Vezina finalist. I mean, as UC Saros has been a year ago, up for the award. Like if you are that guy, it's a little bit harsh, but I don't care. The burden of proof for you to come correct in the playoffs is bigger for you, is higher for you. I don't care about the defensive breakdowns. I need you to rob somebody. And in the overtime, it's probably a bit harsh because that's a point-blank shot, and I don't think there's anything UC Saros can do about the last one. And I probably am being a bit harsh, but you're harsh on guys that are up for awards of that caliber and are playing at his caliber in regular seasons. We need to see that in the postseason. Otherwise, you've got, the highest drafted goaltender since Cam Ward waiting in Milwaukee, ready to take your spot in a Skarov.
And this playoff, how they finish it out could have a lot in terms 100%. Of some decisions they make.
Yaroslav Askarov is not far from being ready.
Nope.
Not far from being ready. 615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up, want to take a look at the conversation around the Titans' second-round pick. Did they make the right decision by picking Tavondre Sweat and not listening to trade offers based on the price for pick number 39 right behind them? And what Rand Carthon had to say answering that question with us earlier on the show this morning. That's next.
Fellas, if you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have noticed a lack of motivation and drive, if you got weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels, all right? At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll get your results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office. It's a concierge medicine for men. The physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized treatments for each patient. Most health insurance is accepted for treatment, and they have affordable and convenient treatment options, including physician-monitored self-inject treatments for established patients that ship directly to your home each month. So there's no need for you to drive to the center for weekly visits. Right now, at LOT Center, it's only $25 to get your T levels tested, with results back in about 25 minutes. So make your health and quality of life a priority. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointments online today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. 615-737-1045. How you join in? If you missed our conversation with Titans General Manager Rand Carthon an hour ago, it is available now wherever you download podcasts. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button for us. It would help us out, and it helps you out. Mm-hmm. You never miss an episode on Apple, Spotify, 1045thezone.com. We are where you listen to podcasts, everywhere. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, I'm Will Bowling. I thought the answer on T'Vondre Sweat was interesting. And in general, there has been a lot of discussion about whether or not the Titans made the right choice by not trading out of the number 38 overall pick. And that is because the Rams traded out of pick 39, and in return, or the Rams traded into pick 39, and in return, gave up picks 52, 155, and a 2025 second-round pick in order to select Florida State defensive tackle Braden Fisk. We asked Rand Carthon an hour ago about the specific traits that he saw in T'Vondre Sweat that maybe he didn't see in other prospects at that position.
Mass, power, and length, is what he has and what he's going to add, to the team. And the one thing too, like you said, we had a few offers come in, and just because you have offers coming in don't mean that they're good ones, and so I think that's what, people always forget about, or, people want you to move up and down, and that's fine, but you got to have partners to move up and down. You don't just get to say, hey, I don't want to pick at 38. We want to move down to 44 and pick, so, and plus the way we had our board, and looking at our board and, the level and the quality of player that we were looking for at 38, we felt like Big Sweat was the best person for that. And so, it was a collective effort by all parties, myself, Callie, A-Rob, and, Tracy Rocker and Denard and, Clint McMillan. It was a collective effort from all of us to make sure that we were getting, the best football player and best person.
So that was Rand Carthon specifically scouting T'Vondre Sweat. We followed up and asked about whether or not he felt like he could have traded back, yet still taken Sweat in the second round. And Rand Carthon had this to say.
Absolutely. And, regardless of what, I promise everything that we do, we're well researched. And we know, and what people don't see is the text messages and the calls you get from teams, after you take quote unquote their guy, and how many texts and calls were, oh, we were taking him with our next pick, or great pick, and that's not just T'Vondre, that's with most of these guys. And so, there's a lot of, backroom conversation going on, but trust me, had we tried to move, and I trust me, I had a earmark, on the board of, hey, this is the furthest we could go back and still get a guy of his caliber. And even with that, one of the teams that I earmarked that we could go below to get him texted and said after the draft that, like, hey, we would have taken him if he was there, so we would have missed out.
Interesting. And the way we phrased that question, Ramon phrased it, was, did you make that pick because you felt like you wouldn't be able to get him later? And that was what he said in reference to the absolutely, to start that answer. After hearing that, does it change your opinion at all on the Titans' decision to stick there and pick at 38 versus trade back?
Yeah, it changes mine too. And if you look at, and I also said the second round come in trends too. Like you start drafting something else happens, right? The trend for the second round was D tackles and cornerbacks. I think it was 7 of each in the second round. And it started off as far as the D tackles go with Ruka Rohoro out of Clemson. And he ended up going to Atlanta. And then you had Johnny Newton. And then the next D tackle was T'Vondre Sweat. So when you saw teams like the Rams move up, I guess you could tell exactly what everybody else was thinking, because shortly after that, another D tackle was taken, Mason Smith with the Jacksonville Jaguars. There was talent there. And of course, like Rand said also, he alluded to, like, the guys that you could have moved back for, the quality of what they were looking for wasn't the exact same of what they needed for this team. So you got to take a guy like that, considering I'm not sure where the Rams came from to move up for Braden Fisk. But there was movement for these types of guys, and you got one of the top 3 in the round right there in the T'Vondre Sweat.
And just because some other guys that may be rated higher or whatever that may be in different drafts or analysis, you have to look at this specific choice like this was their fit. And you heard Rand talk about getting, involvement from all the coaches, but especially guys like, Tracy Rocker, who is going to be head of the defensive line. This was a guy who, from all accounts I've heard, was Tracy Rocker's one of his favorite guys in the draft. So they were specifically looking at a guy that would fit their system on top of being a guy that obviously has the talent to do it. So I think you can't really compare and contrast at that point, because just because this other guy might have a little bit more value because everybody else says it, doesn't mean that's going to say, hey, he has more value on your team. Like, you're looking for the best fit. And that's why I think really they did stick, like he said, stick and pick right there, because they were like, we can't pass this over.
Yeah. And my apologies to you, because in the moment you did say the defensive tackle from Clemson. I've somehow missed Ororo in my Google Doc this morning.
Oh, good.
It was not just Johnny Newton of Illinois where it started. So I apologize to you with the GM on the show saying the wrong stat there,
all good.
as always. But from pick 35 to pick 54, 7 defensive tackles went off the board.
Crazy.
And the Titans were right in the middle of that run. Interesting. I think, to me, where people view the draft incorrectly is by grading every pick based on value in the moment. Whereas NFL teams, I think, view it this way. If 30 of the 32 teams have the same opinion of a player, but that other team that feels the same way you do is right behind you and might be able to take that guy, that's all it takes to prevent you from moving back. So if you love a player, and the Titans clearly like T'Vondre Sweat, Tracy Rocker clearly likes T'Vondre Sweat. Rand Carthon, we said it on Friday. We've heard it from him a minute ago, loves the kid. If you like him, it doesn't matter if so-and-so at Bleacher Report, I'm just throwing out the first outlet that comes to mind, is going to give you a C- for the value. If one other team behind you, let's just say it is, I don't know, the Cincinnati Bengals. Say the Cincinnati Bengals behind you, who are in the D-tackle market. You know they like T'Vondre Sweat. You know they want him. It doesn't matter then if you move back to 50 and think, oh, we should be able to get him at 50 because 30 out of 32 NFL teams don't think that he's worthy of this level of a pick. Well, if one other one does, then you're out of it. And the chart may say that you made the right trade, but how much of a drop-off is there in getting Chris Jenkins out of Michigan, in getting Mason Smith out of LSU, in getting Braden Fisk out of Florida State? Braden Fisk is not a nose tackle.
Right.
T'Vondre Sweat will play next to Jeffrey Simmons.
Yep.
If you go get some of these other guys, you're putting that player on the other side of the defensive line, not next to Jeffrey Simmons, and maybe Sebastian Joseph Day then becomes the inside guy playing next to Jeff. That's where I think this conversation gets a bit skewed, because we get so inundated with draft grades. Oh, I just did a pro football focus draft simulator and it gave me a C-. Oh my gosh, how do I do better? Like, I don't think that's the way NFL teams view this in the moment, and every team getting an A or a D- and things like that. I just don't think that's the way the real world works.
And I think they targeted him so much from the start that they were willing to. First of all, they brought him in for a top 30 visit, but then they went as far as to go down to Texas. I mean, they flew down there. I believe they brought Tracy Rocker, and
they did.
Yeah, and they went down and met with him because they wanted to make sure that if he was available, even with the stuff that, with the DUI or DWI or whatever that he had before all of this draft happened, they wanted to make sure they weren't making a mistake because they liked him that much. And they felt like this was the move, and he was there.
It was. If you look at the trend, too, of course, we spoke about that, and this is hilarious on how it breaks down. Keon Coleman and Ladd McConkey, I think that's pretty self-apparent. Like these, Buffalo needed a wide receiver. Keon Coleman, Chargers needed a wide receiver. Ladd McConkey. And then you got D-tackle, wide receiver, D-tackle. The run on D-tackles is done. You know what the next 4 picks were? all cornerbacks.
Cornerbacks, yep.
So it was all about getting the value for position that you needed, and you needed to rush to the front of the line to get your guy. That's why you made the decision to go get him also. And again, we'll see what Denard Wilson's defense look like, but it's clearly a defense that need big body guys that he want to press the pocket with. And even Coach Callahan said that, give me guys that would give me problems.
Yeah.
That's super fascinating. He's that open with it. Is you're creating a team that your coach knows is very problematic for other squads. And give me the type of players that I would have hated to play against.
Yeah.
I like that mindset.
He used, I think, the word aggressive.
Yeah.
And when you look at these types of defensive players, especially Devondre Sweat, it's like aggressive.
But where Callahan is coming from, Baltimore always gets somebody that's up the field.
Yeah.
Look at Cleveland's D-line. Always up the field. Say what you want to about Cleveland, but that defense is monstrous. And then look at Pittsburgh. He know what those types of dudes look like. Not that Devondre Sweat's that yet. He's got to prove that they can be that type of defense, and Denard Wilson can make it grow and get the results of it, right? But as it pertains to what your coach hate playing against, it's good to have it on your side.
One commenter on YouTube says, then stop quoting PFF. When they go against your narrative, you want to discredit them. I'm not discrediting anybody. PFF writers and Bleacher Report writers, like, these guys are just doing their jobs. They have jobs to do. Like, you're going to click on a story that says draft grades 2024 and see what people think about your draft class. That's fine. I'm just of the opinion that that kind of coverage is more appropriate 2 years down the road. If we want to go ahead and grade the Titans 2022 draft, we could probably start doing that now. Yeah. If we really wanted to grade the 2021 draft, we could absolutely do that. What grade are you giving Caleb Farley now? Well, we have a grade on that now that we would not have known on April 29th of 2021. So, like, it's not a PFF problem. I just think it's not even necessarily a problem. Like, I think that the way sites and the way that fans view the draft is different from the way teams view it in that way. It doesn't make either side wrong. It's just a different perspective on the same conversation.
The way teams judge it, and you hear Rand say it, you hear others say, Coach Mack say it often, 3 years. Mm-hmm. 3 years is what you're saying. The immediate response to creating content and getting opinions out there starts now. I mean, PFF can't wait. NFL can't wait.
And we'll probably have Sam Onset on the show like in the next week to talk about how he grades the Titans draft class. Like, there's real analysis to be done there. But I think as a GM, you got to view it differently. Like you said.
And like you said, it's about 3 years. It's the same thing that I've always been told about quarterbacks. Okay, quarterback's great, fine. See me in 3 years so we can talk about how his rookie year went, how he adjusted to the league, right? Because as you sophomore slump is what they usually say, right? And then the third year is when you've seen everything you're supposed to be a pro. The issue is for this squad is, well, Levis doesn't have the fifth year option. So his third year needs to be his second year. And that's a summer conversation, I'm sure.
Yes, it is, right.
About how much pressure he has to feel or will feel.
And that's the different trend with quarterbacks is it is more of like, what have you done now? Like, if you aren't progressing at a rapid pace, like, you're not out of the league, but you're traded to another team.
It's easy to replace now.
It's very easy to replace. You saw it with the 6 that were taken in the first round.
Omar is in Houston on the phone lines with us this morning, 615-737-1045. What's up, Omar?
Hey, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you, sir.
Hey,
nice, Omar. We should have a little.
Yeah, I'm on the other shows, man. A to Z in the morning, Zach.
Nice.
Buck, everything. Man, I was on here preaching the whole time. Sweat. Because, and I'm a Longhorn fan as well. I'm a big-time Longhorn fan, and this guy here demands attention. I'm telling you, Sweat, this is all I wanted, because putting him next to Jeffrey Simmons, it's going to cause so much pressure. And then we got press corners. I think one of the top 5 press corners in the NFL. So they're gonna have to get the ball out quick, and it's going to be hard to do that. And I think that with our team, we broke a record against Cincinnati a couple years back with 9 sacks or whatever. We have half of those players still on the defensive line. Add this monster on there, and, man, I'm just too excited, man. I'm so excited. I can't wait to play Madden, the new Madden. I can't wait to watch my team. I'm just super excited, man. I just want to call in and tell you guys I think that we made a great pick.
I love
That's
it.
awesome.
That Omar.
Thank you, Omar. I look forward to Omar being a second-time caller.
I was just going to say,
Right.
Call it anytime.
Call it anytime.
Omar. We love the energy.
Also, Omar, this is new for you. Welcome to the SEC.
yeah, it
Big Texas
is.
fan out here.
Look at that.
As far as the SEC is concerned, Omar coming.
Omar.
So Omar is going to be calling in a lot.
He is.
Yes,
we got
sir.
to cover them.
Yeah.
Omar coming. That's the Wire reference. If you
Yeah,
haven't
that's
watched
the
Oh, my
wire
goodness.
on HBO. If you didn't understand the reference, please delete my name from your contacts.
You know what I'm
Thanks so
starting to
much.
hate about it? You know what I'm starting to hate about The Wire? You
What's
know what
that?
I'm starting? You know where I'm headed.
Too many people have started to watch it.
No, Baltimore Ravens are actually using it. Tell us about it, Bert. You was at a game when they did the whistle.
Yeah, it's bad luck.
Is it?
The game they played Buffalo in the playoffs,
Oh.
Buffalo played the Omar whistle, kind of taunting Baltimore and beat them. So they have not been using the Omar whistle as much as previously expected.
Y'all tried to get a renegade and it didn't work out. Couldn't be my team.
Yeah, we have a gimmick off between Ramon's mic also off. We have a gimmick off between Renegade and the Omar whistle. At least here in Tennessee, we have Get Loud after touchdowns.
Loud.
Got a feeling that's gonna change.
Yeah, I do too.
Y'all love.
No.
I
right.
think
I'm not
if you
touching it.
walked
I
up
ain't
to
touching
100
it.
Titans fans on the street and said, "Do you like Get Loud?" They would be like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Get out of
Hands
here.
off.
They would ask. Like, I think maybe 5 people out of the 100 would be like, "Is that the touchdown song?" And maybe one of them would say they like it. Out of 100.
Out of 100. That's bad. Well, we
Being honest.
gonna effort this one right here.
I would rather make
honest.
an end zone out of the construction site of new Nissan Stadium and play in that over Get Loud, respectfully. The Titans do a lot of great things. I love a lot of the things they've got going on
I
right
do
there.
too.
That is one of the things I would love for them to revisit.
I'm with you on that one.
The amount of music talent in this city.
You said that calm. You said that with a straight
I want to
face.
be respectful,
No, I
but I
know.
can be respectfully critical.
What I'm saying is you're
They do a lot of
intentional.
good things.
You're intentional
Yeah.
about this one, though. I feel you on that.
They do
one,
it. They listen to the fan base. I think when no, I know that they 100% listen to the fan base when the fan base has conversations with them, and this is one of them. I would love for them to have.
That's real.
It doesn't
Anyway.
hit.
It don't hit.
No, it doesn't.
It misses. Swing and a miss.
Wasn't that debuted during the COVID home game against the Colts, where the Titans had 2 punts blocked as well?
That's when it should have been changed right away.
615-737-1045. I love looking back at trades in the NFL after the dust settles in a draft. There is one trade that I think is hysterical after the fact in the NFL, and I'm going to tell you what it is coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster here for United Structural System, telling you, man, if you got foundational waterproofing issues, whether it be for your home or your business, this is the company you have to reach out to. They have over 25,100% satisfied residential customers. You can look at the reviews online. I'll give you one right now from Brad here in Nashville, man. Say they had 2 sidewalks that collapsed on their campus and created a trip hazard and an ADA issue. Said he placed a call to United Structural System to get a quote on the concrete poly lifting service. The process was quick and the communication was excellent. From the first call until the end of the completion. Said Evan came out and completed their work and the sidewalks are now within compliance and the trip hazard has been eliminated. They saved us thousands is what he said over having to replace 2 panels on the sidewalk. Also, when they left, the work site was neat and clean with no evidence they had even been there. He said, as a director of facilities, USS is a partner you need in your contact list. Cannot recommend them enough. Well, here I am going to recommend them for you again, okay? If you have waterproofing or foundation issues, they are serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Western Kentucky. You can reach them online at USSTN.com or call them 615-488-7855.
Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone, 615-737-1045. Guys, there was a hilarious trade that happened in the NFL earlier this offseason. I'm curious if you guys saw this. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, of course, acquired Mac Jones from the New England Patriots. Mm-hmm. They acquired Mac Jones for a round 6 selection in 2024, specifically pick 193. You know who the Patriots picked with pick 193? Tennessee quarterback Joe Milton.
Jeez Louise.
Essentially, the New England Patriots traded Mac Jones for Joe Milton.
Yes, they did.
I love that.
Oh, my goodness.
They did.
The New England Patriots would rather have Joe Milton on their roster than Mac Jones.
That's
so,
crazy.
Tennessee fans going to work today, if you're sharing a cubicle with an Alabama fan, hey, you know that quarterback y'all had? Patriots would rather have Joe Milton than him. That's how trash he is. That's how bad Alabama quarterbacks are in the NFL. That the New England Patriots would rather have Joe Milton throwing oranges over the edge of the lighthouse that now resides in Gillette Stadium than have Mac Jones and his sorry quarterback self sitting there on the bench.
Crazy. I don't even know if franchises were tricked or what, but the belief that he was the franchise savior, and I got to give it to him, had one of the best walk-ups at the draft I think we've seen in a
God,
while.
it was awful.
One of the
That
best
is the
walk-ups.
least swag man I've ever seen in my life.
Unless you're a tackle. If you're a left tackle and you have no aura and it looks like you shop at The Gap and you don't need all the fancy bling and the chains and everything, I want my left tackle to look like he just mowed a field for the last 6 hours. I don't want my quarterback necessarily looking like that. I need my quarterback to have a little bit of swagger. I need my left tackle and left guard to look like the most boring, corn-fed Midwestern lineman in the world.
100%.
That was the trigger right there. That was the warning flag the minute he walked out.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love the swagger that J.C. Latham brings to the table.
Love that.
I'm okay with both.
I'll take that any day.
I'm okay with both. But if I'm okay with one position having zero aura, it's my offensive lineman. Mac Jones has zero aura as a quarterback. Yeah, for that reason, I'm out.
I also learned I have a type in corner. I need them to look like they are pressing their face against a glass window. If it doesn't look like they're like biting their jaw and pressing their face up against a glass window, I don't want it. Which brings me to my next point. You talked about trades being complete. The Kevin Byard trade is now complete. We've seen the fruition of that entire trade. They selected Jarvis Brownlee in the 5th and Jaquan Jackson in the 6th. Jarvis Brownlee looks like that dude could eat rocks and enjoy it. I love Jarvis Brownlee. You do not want to get in a fight with that dude.
You do not want to get in a fight with him, man, at all.
And now he's got a chip on his shoulder because he thought might be going a little bit earlier, right?
Yeah.
Mom was in the room while he was talking to the media after his presser and everything. He's ready to go.
And again, they fell exactly where they said they did exactly what they said they was going to do. All big time schools, and Tulane, by the way, are putting out more draft
Roll
picks.
wave.
Man,
I swear, Tajay's like the perfect marketing person for that team too.
Well,
I'll trust Tajay, whatever, you know.
Well, see, that's all. Oh boy!
Speaking of Tajay Spears,
man,
Rhett Bryant.
the guy that put him on the map in the
hardest
first
working
place,
man in
Rhett
entertainment.
Bryant.
I was like, what?
He said he comes bearing gifts.
I did not see him coming in the door right there. I legitimately was like, what the heck is going on?
Surprised him.
On your blind side.
It's those earbuds you got in.
Yeah, Sam.
Can't hear a thing.
You scared the hell out of me. I forgot what I was going to say now.
What'd you get?
I
You
don't
can share with the
know.
class on what you have?
Yeah, what is this?
What is this? Oh!
Gifts.
Titans Radio.
Titans
Okay,
Radio
bearing
hoodie.
gifts.
Look at
Look at
this.
that.
The Nike swoosh
Big
on it.
time. Is it what's the size on that?
That's 3X. 3X hoodie. You want one?
I love it.
You want one?
I need an XS, extra small.
Extra small?
We could probably make
yeah,
one out
bro.
of
What do you
that.
mean?
I
Extra,
can knit that.
Don't act so surprised over there.
No, it's just funny. Like in my world, okay, you got small, medium, large, XL, etc. I never knew extra
In my
small
world,
was
it's
a
extra,
thing.
extra small or extra small.
There's an extra.
Yeah, there
In
is.
front of.
Depends on what.
wow.
Yeah,
I
some
didn't know that.
run a little bit larger.
I did not know that.
So you got to go one down.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Your reaction to the Titans draft on the other side. Paul and Jonathan are on deck. And we'll revisit a lot of what Rand Carthon told us this morning as we continue here into hour number 4. Specifically on pretty much every prospect, the move that J.C. Latham makes. And one note on assistant coaches I thought was very interesting that Rand told us earlier this morning. That's next.
Fellas, if you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have noticed a lack of motivation and drive, have weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple blood test. With their on-site lab, you get your results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office either. It's a concierge medicine for men. Their physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized treatment for each patient. Most health insurance is also accepted for treatment. And they have affordable and convenient treatment options, including physician self-monitor inject systems, treatments for established patients that ship directly to your home each month. So there's no need to come to the center for weekly visits. Right now at Low T Center, it's only $25 to get your T levels tested with results back in about 25 minutes. So make your health and quality of life a priority. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
This is your off-the-track racing report, brought to you by Nissan of Rivergate.
Hamlin holds on at the Monster Mile. Denny Hamlin held off a hard-charging Kyle Larson to capture Sunday's Worth 400 at Dover Motor Speedway. For Hamlin, it was his third victory of the season, tying him with William Byron for the most during this campaign. Plus, it was his second career victory at Dover, his 54th Cup Series victory, and it tied him with Hall of Famer Lee Petty for 12th on the series all-time wins list. Kyle Larson finished in second place, and Martin Truex Jr. was third. While Larson finished ahead of Truex in the race, he also passed him to top the driver standings, holding a 15-point advantage. The Cup Series heads to Kansas Speedway for the Advent Health 400. This Sunday's race is set for a 2 p.m. broadcast start on FS1.
This has been your off-the-track racing report, brought to you by Nissan of Rivergate. Have you ever noticed how many car dealerships there are in the Middle Tennessee area, and they all tell you they have the largest selection and the best prices in town? I'm Liz Allison. I'm here to tell you how to make your life easier. Head straight to Nissan of Rivergate. They truly have the largest selection and the best prices in town. I know this because I'm on car 3 from Bob McCracken and his team at Nissan of Rivergate. Cut out the dealership hopping and make Nissan of Rivergate your only stop. Nissan of Rivergate, 1550 Gallatin Pike North in Madison. NissanofRivergate.com.
What's going on? 9 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans wrapped up draft weekend on day 3, selecting 5 players. Cedric Gray, linebacker from UNC, Jarvis Brownlee, cornerback from Louisville, Jaquan Jackson, wide receiver from Tulane, to name a few. We had Rand Carthon on the show at 7:20 to break down the Titans draft class and surmise the entire draft weekend. That podcast is available wherever you listen to your podcast. Post-draft free agency underway. Yesterday we saw the notification, Mekhi Becton signing a 1-year deal with the Eagles, up to $5.5 million to be their swing tackle. And breaking this morning, Ezekiel Elliott back to Dallas after spending 1 year in New England. He will be the lead back for the Cowboys. Heartbreaking loss for the Preds as they fall to Vancouver 4-3 in overtime. Preds lead 3-1 with 3 minutes to go, and heartbreak. The series heads back to Vancouver with the Canucks leading the series 3-1. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour of the show starts right now. An energized Monday morning. That's the norm when you come around Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Nothing lukewarm about this show. We're hot to the touch with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. My name is Will Bowling. You know when the waiter brings you a plate and they always say, like, oh, the plate is hot, don't touch it. It's like the number one way you get me to touch a plate. If you tell me how hot it is, I'm going to try to touch it.
I've done that too.
I always do it.
How much of my fingerprint can I just sizzle off of my hand?
There's only one restaurant where you have to listen to them. Mexican restaurants, the plates are
With the
that
fajitas?
hot. Yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Really anything. If it's those white plates, I don't know what it is about Mexican restaurants. When they put them under those heat lamps there, it's a different kind of heat. Anywhere else that says it, I'm touching the plate.
I was going to say bougie. I was going to go bougie Brentwood real quick and say Ruth's Chris.
That's what I was going to say.
Because they put the steak on the plate in like the sizzler. The sizzler's not the right word.
In the sizzler.
The sizzler sounds like a bad Batman villain from the cartoon back in the 90s.
I knew exactly what
It's
you were
the
talking
sizzler.
about.
The Sizzler sounds like a terrible place to take someone on a date in the early 2000s.
Sound like
Are
you
they
did
still
that.
around?
No, they are not.
Okay,
They're
I didn't
not
think
around?
so. We had a
Okay.
lot of those.
The
I
sizzler?
never went to one.
Was that actually a
Sizzlers.
place?
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
No,
Like a Golden Corral, I think.
It is.
Is what it was.
Really?
Yeah.
Called Sizzler. Yeah.
Like
was-
a buffet style place.
My lifespan and that lifespan may not have overlapped.
How many of those places were around in the 90s? Like, I
lot.
could name a lot. Golden
That's all it
Corral,
was.
Sizzlers, Ryan's. Like, there's a lot of those types of
Yeah.
places that was around.
As a kid, you had Charles Edward Cheese.
Shoney's
What?
was another one.
Chuck E.
E.
Cheese.
Oh,
I'm
Charles
using his
Edward.
full
Oh,
government
gosh.
name.
So Sizzler is still around, fighting their way
You're
out of
kidding
the
me.
COVID hole that dug for a lot of restaurants. They are
Let
a
me
West
guess the
Coast
place.
Okay.
Okay,
Hardly
I was
know.
going to say Texas.
Okay, none in Texas as I see it. It looks
This ain't
like
Texas,
all
Ramon Foster.
West Coast, Oregon, California.
They're still in Washington,
Las
where
Vegas.
I grew up. Let's see.
It looks like underneath the line. None in Washington.
Okay.
Got to be in Oregon, California, Wyoming, if you're a big Sizzler fan.
Because that's about all they have in Wyoming.
Oh, man.
I have never in my life heard of this.
Yeah.
Not
That's a big
one
thing.
time.
It
I've
used to
never
be if
been
you
to
were
one.
good. If you were good, you'd get to go to the Sizzler.
Oh, straight up?
Well, for real. If like you do well in a soccer game,
Yeah.
or maybe you get like a couple base hits, you're going to the Sizzler.
Good report card.
Yeah, the
Going to
one for
Sizzler.
us was Ryan's. What's the name of it? The family? Yeah,
right.
Ryan's. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of names coming in now. I never heard of Luby's, if that's
Interesting.
even a real place.
Lubies?
If we were good on a Sunday afternoon, we would either get to go get Otter's chicken tenders or get to go to Chinatown and Green Hills.
See,
The egg drop soup, and they would give you beef teriyaki, and they would give you a little grill. They'd give you a teriyaki beef skewer, and they would let you grill your own teriyaki beef on like the grill that they just handed you. Me at 8 years old did not need that much power, but that was sizzling as well. I couldn't touch that either.
Last thing on the restaurants. I don't know if y'all had these. I can't find one anywhere, but I miss them so much. When I did good, when my daddy was proud of me, we went to Fuddruckers.
Yes,
Have y'all ever been to a
absolutely.
That's that burger
First one was
place.
in Knoxville for me. Yeah.
Those burgers are so good.
Better be careful on the radio saying
Pick your-
the name of
don't
that
play
restaurant.
don't play the name game with that.
Don't say it 5 times fast, please.
Don't be flipping them around. Pick your own patties out, topping bar. I'd go up there and get a whole plate of pickles. Would nobody stop you? Would nobody stop you?
Yeah, another one
Anyway.
RGB put in was Ponderosa. The 90s, early 2000s, full of these family buffet places.
I love it.
I do too.
615-737-1045, talking Titans draft. Some new players to tell you about. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we will hear a lot of what Rand Carthon told us this morning about a couple of those players, about his process of picking a J.C. Latham, a Devondre Sweat. Let's go to Paul in Franklin, though, to lead off hour 4. What's up, Paul?
What's up, Paul?
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing?
We're great. We're better now.
As the great Charlie Daniels said, it's great to be alive and be in Tennessee. Look, my Titan brother in Houston, Omar, man, I'm with you, brother. I'm with you, man. Big Jeffrey Simmons put Sweat in there. We're going to power up that D-line, baby. D-line. Well, but one little smack talk I got to give to Omar. Omar, you ain't in the little 12 anymore, baby. You ain't in the little 12. We don't call it the big 12 here. It's the little 12 to us. You in the SEC, baby. We going to show you, Omar, who the real UT is. All right.
Tell him, Paul.
Get him, Paul.
Tell him, Paul. Hell
Get him,
yeah.
Paul. They actually play defense in the
Speaking the
SEC.
gospel, I'd never even, Paul, you helped me to something. I never even thought to call them the little 12.
Oh, my God. Now they're the mini 12 because they lost Oklahoma and Texas.
As petty as I claim to be, Caleb.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
I like the little 12,
The
though.
little 12.
About as little, too, as their new member, Colorado, in the spring game attendance.
Yeah.
They had the other day. A lot was made when Colorado sold out their spring game last year. They were back to having a smattering of people in attendance.
You stupid.
Dion's gone in 1 year.
Well, I say this. The only way he's gone is probably because of Shador. A lot to me upon what they do in Colorado is based upon Shador and Travis. We'll see what happens. I hope, for his sake, it should. I hope it's sustainable for him.
Pro Football Focus has their way too early 2025 mock draft, which was a great reminder to me to mute on Twitter the phrase "way too early 2025 mock draft."
You went ahead and knocked that
because
out.
I will 100% be muting that. But since I already clicked, they've got Shedeur Sanders as a top 10 pick
Yeah.
in the NFL draft next year to the Las Vegas Raiders.
If
Dion in Vegas would be quite the sight.
to the Raiders,
Did he approve that? Because he had the list of approves and not approves.
That's a great question. Great follow-up question.
I feel like primetime is going to have the exact same impact on Shador that LeVar had on Lonzo, where the talks going into that draft was not that Lonzo was a top 5 player or that he should be drafted by the Lakers. But after the offseason, he quickly convinced Magic Johnson that he should take his son. And I wonder if primetime doesn't have the exact same impact on Shador's NFL future.
It's interesting, too. A lot of the hate that LeVar Ball got, he did kind of do his job and
He was
help
right.
his sons get roles in the NBA and then kind of stepped into the
Disappeared.
background.
Yeah.
It's good for him.
LeVar was right.
Did what he needed to do for his family.
Didn't even just get him a job, started a business for them with the big baller brands and got, whether all of his kids made it to the NBA or not, whether they got jobs or not, he was going to make sure they were secure.
I mean,
I
we're
respect
talking,
that.
They
we're
got
talking
shoes,
about
too.
LaMelo and
Yeah, LaMelo
Lonzo, right? I mean, both got max deals or close to max deals.
LiAngelo.
LiAngelo.
LiAngelo was the only one that did not.
Well, he
Yeah.
did it
spent
to himself, though.
Sure, he spent some time on the Hornets G League squad, I believe, but I don't know if he ever progressed past that.
Yeah.
There you go.
But still, he's got some money. I guarantee you, he's riding a nice car with some good-looking underwear on.
Yep.
Well, he just got to stop taking sunglasses out of overseas stores and stuff.
He'll get better at it and don't get caught. That's what I'm talking about.
Get better at it. Don't get
Call
caught.
Bert
Yeah,
on how
call
to do it
Bert.
successfully.
Call Bert, baby.
Rand Carthon was with us earlier this morning talking about Bill Callahan's opinion of J.C. Latham. That is how we led off the interview, asking specifically about his assistant coach's involvement in the process. I thought he gave an interesting answer.
Well, I'll tell you, all of our coaches were very involved. That's the way we do things here. Our scouts kind of set the table. They've done a lot of work. They've been, it's crazy. Like your mind is already on next year's draft, and getting a preliminary list, and you can start, getting a head start on watching, previous year's tapes on some of these guys. So, Coach Bill was, very involved, as are all of our coaches. And, how could you not like, a large human with a length and, paws for hands and, that's just extremely strong and has, incredible grip strength. So he's going to fit in fine here.
Did he say pause?
He did say pause for hands. What are y'all laughing about?
Nothing. What are you doing over there?
You gotta love it. Large human with incredible grip strength, too.
God.
I'm about to have to send that back to him. I'm like, bro, phrasing?
He's got paws for hands.
Well, I think it's more the length.
I thought he was saying he's got paws.
No, he did. He said a lot. You want to play it back, Bert? Never mind, man.
Well, I'll tell you, all of our coaches were very involved. That's the way we do things here. Our scouts kind of set the table. They've done a lot of work. They've been, it's crazy. Like your mind is already on next year's draft, and getting a preliminary list, and you can start, getting a head start on watching, previous year's tapes on some of these guys. So, Coach Bill was, very involved, as are all of our coaches. And, how could you not like, a large human with a length and, paws for hands and,
paws for hands,
extremely strong and has, incredible.
He said pause for hands.
I'm editing the audio so
saying,
no one will ever know that he was not saying pause.
He's not saying P-A-U-S-E, pause, because I said something a little questionable about a dude. It sounds like I'm saying something else.
Oh, shoot.
He said pause for hands.
He did. You're right. But, us immature folk out here.
Very large human being.
Pause.
Coming up. Well, let's get to Jonathan in Murfreesboro. Let's let Jonathan get us back on the rails here. What's up, Jonathan?
How y'all doing this morning?
We're great.
I think.
Hey, Big Ragu, I got some Princess Hot Chicken for you whenever you're ready to come back out here, man.
Yes, well, hopefully we get.
That sounds like heaven right there.
Hey,
that's
Jonathan,
the good stuff.
Y'all were good to us, man.
Hey, I got you. I'll get you taken care of yet again. But I just want to touch on. So last Thursday, I went to the draft party at the stadium last week, and took my girlfriend with me. And as I'm walking in, I'm hearing a lot of people, "Oh, we need a quarterback. We need a quarterback." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, "We got a quarterback. He's in his second year. Are you upset because of how he may have looked in some parts last year? Outside of Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins, you really had nobody else last year, and no other quarterback could have played behind that raggedy offensive line. Let's just call it what it is." So when the J.C. Latham pick happened, it was like a mass exodus. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, that was a need that you had to have. If you want this guy to be successful, you got to build that offensive line. And I'm hearing some people behind me, I don't even know what position that guy plays. What are you doing? That tells me you didn't watch this team enough to think that they don't need that tackle. But all in all, I just, I love the draft. I feel like there's some starters in there, especially those first three picks. My favorite, honestly, out of all of them, is Cedric Gray, the linebacker out of North Carolina, because I think putting him with Kenneth Murray is going to be a good thing to go. Yeah. But y'all have a good rest of the day. And like I said, Ragu, Kayla, Will, Bert, y'all come on out here and see me. I'll get you taken care of.
Hey, you do not tempt us with a good time.
Yeah.
Bert going to talk to you after
Princess
this.
Is where it's at.
Okay?
we will be there.
Jonathan, what draft party were you at? They're talking about quarterback. No, I'm being facetious here because he was like, they're talking about drafting a quarterback.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Pipe down.
That was never even on the radar.
That's who you think you're supposed to be, the Atlanta Falcons? Nah, I kid.
Seriously, right?
I kid.
615-737-1045 is our number. Something on every new Titan From us and from Titans GM Rand Carthon, who joined us earlier in the show. We've got that for you next.
You know, I mean, how could you not like, you know, a large human with a length and, you know, paws.
Hey, it's Kayla and Ramon with our friends at Window Nation. And now is the time. Maybe you got some time over the weekend to go do some spring cleaning, right? You opened up those windows, let the air in, then you realized, oh, shoot, my window is not even opening, or maybe it wouldn't stay opened. And you're seeing some cracks, you're seeing some leaks. That is a sign that you need new windows. And right now is the time to call Window Nation. They've got a great deal going on for you guys. Buy two, and then you get 2 free. Plus, added to that, 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 24 months.
And if you don't believe us, man, they got over 20,000 online positive reviews, okay? Over 1,500 custom volume window combinations available, too. So you're not stuck in a corner on what you can choose. You can choose whatever you want to. Another thing, too, man, average installer has over 16 years of experience. You can trust this company. Simply what we're telling you. Kayla told you, buy 2, get 2 free. Plus, pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. 866-90Nation or go to windownation.com.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 615-737-1045. Give us your thoughts on your draft for the Tennessee Titans. What do you think about what the Titans came away with? We'll give you something on every player here as we continue in hour number 4. And specifically, the headline, I think, from our conversation with Rand Carthon is what he said about T'Vondre Sweat. And maybe it's because we got to react to the J.C. Latham pick Friday that now we kind of digest everything else from the weekend. And T'Vondre Sweat's the first pick you make out of the weekend. You don't have a third-round pick to kind of compare in that same vein. But doesn't it feel like there are going to be a lot of eyeballs on that pick specifically? I think just as much as there will be scrutiny on the J.C. Latham pick. Because to me, it's a bigger swing to take a guy in T'Vondre Sweat who some analysts were saying was ranked in the hundreds as far as draft prospects go, and taking that guy at 38. And I think this organization understands it is taking a calculated risk in a guy who reportedly played at 380 pounds this past year and had a DWI in the draft process, has some off-the-field questions moving forward into his rookie season.
And what's crazy about that, though, too, naturally as a player, I feel like I have this optimistic approach to it. Like, I need to see it until they prove me that they can't do it. What's fascinating about him is T'Vondre Sweat is messed around and won the Outland Trophy. Still, the dominance that you see. And
was a captain.
Was a captain, in Texas year that they had, be able to turn around. I think they went into Tuscaloosa this year and beat Alabama also, again, with him pushing the pocket and stuff like that. The results are there, or the potential is there. Potential means nothing if you never tap into it. And that's where you are with a guy like him. Can he play 3 technique? Can he line up over the nose consistently? What happens, to your point, Will, on how it can be scrutinized, what happens if he gets caught out there in no huddle? Can he actively still rush? Is he good in the run game? How is his condition? Like, those are the things that you'll have to see and get the answers for. But all in all, the risk that you took on taking them, and almost any one of those guys, the question for Brayton Fisk, right?
Sure.
Can he continue to play at a high level that he did at Florida State? Mm-hmm. Was he surrounded by a lot of cast of characters that helped his growth and, watch him mature? Can they be pros is what you're looking at. How will it translate over? And those are the things. But I'm with you. It was a pick to take. It was a chance to take on a guy like that. And just where was, the honesty in saying he slid into the hundreds? Yeah. Is that public perception? Or, public judgment on him? Or is, like, real scouts and people really saying, oh, he's going to fall because he had a DWI?
And I'll put myself in the category as it is hard sometimes when you've seen firsthand a prospect get drafted here and completely just bust. And that is in the minds of a lot of Titans fans. And I'm sure it was in the mind of Amy Adams-Strunk. When you come in with any type of questions, you're spending a second-round pick on this guy. He's expected to really probably be a starter day one, if not sometime during his first season here. Wow. And so, you have the right to feel that way. But what I will say is this is a brand new staff. This is a brand new staff doing their separate thing. So it's really hard to compare that or say, hey, this staff did that and they failed. This is a completely new story here. So I think you have to give them the benefit of the doubt in terms of how they went about this process of making sure they knew the whole thing about the DWI and making sure they knew what type of player and person they were getting in T'Vondre Sweat. This is a guy who has, I think, really high potential on the field. And yes, is he a little bit bigger? Sure. And I'm sure he'll lose a little bit of those pounds, but I think he's shown the athletic ability to be that big of a dude and being able to move like that. Yeah. It's really kind of unheard of, his athletic ability, and he's had that since he was a kid. His mom put him in basketball at an early age. But Steve Sarkisian, his head coach at Texas, said this about his IQ, because we were kind of talking about putting him in the moment. He said he can diagnose blocking schemes. He will take on double teams. He has an innate ability of getting off blocks and making plays, especially at critical moments. I really liked that piece and what he said. I just think this could be a steal in terms of people might not love the pick when you're seeing all these grades out here, But when it plays out alongside a guy like Jeffrey Simmons, who has also got criticized where he was picked and what he might have done making some choices in college, I think that it will be a benefit having him here.
In Dane Brugler's The Beast draft guide in The Athletic, he had T'Vondre Sweat as a 4th-round pick and as his number 10 defensive tackle in this draft. The overall summary he gives is Sweat must continue turning the brilliant flashes into more consistency, but he is a rare athlete for his size with the power and ingredients to be a dominant force against the run. Though he has the traits to become an impactful NFL starter, he needs to stay conditioned and locked in to reach his potential. The way I understand it is, as much vetting as the Titans did on this kid, they are betting on their staff's ability to get him to that potential. They are betting on the fact that playing next to Jeffrey Simmons will get him to that potential. And I think if anybody is going to take a risk on a player like T'Vondre Sweat, it is a team that has Jeffrey Simmons. It is a team where T'Vondre Sweat is not going to be expected to be the guy. He is a guy. And you heard it from the video the Titans released when Rand Carthon gave him the call of, are you ready to be a guy in this room? He didn't call him and ask, are you ready to be the guy in this room? I don't think anybody is asking their players of that, by the way, in any call. As they pick somebody and tell them, hey, we're on the clock, we're taking you, welcome. Every time you hear that conversation, are you ready to join this room? Are you ready to be a soldier? Behind Jeffrey Simmons, not in front of him. I think that is the perfect landing spot for a guy like this who, like we said earlier, was considered a top 40 pick before some off-the-field issues surfaced. He has the DWI, was arrested and charged just weeks before the draft at that point. It is interesting. Dane Brugler writes of the Beast, improved maturity during the 2023 season, but was labeled as a, quote, party animal and, quote, class clown as an underclassman by NFL scouts who also questioned his commitment to becoming the best player he could be. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just not as worried about that in this team specifically. I'm really not.
Yeah, no. And again, here's one of those things where you say to yourself, we need one of those big people movers is what you want out of them. I know a guy that had similar production as him, and Philly took him. I'm always use Philly because Philly looks at us like we're going to be menacing. Yeah. It's another place that Denard Wilson was at, right? We're going to be menacing. The dude that they took a couple years ago, Jordan Davis, right? You look at that position and say, hey, that's too high to take a D tackle. I'm not correlating one to the other, but of course the resume is somewhat still the same. All-Americans, Outland Trophy winner, unanimous All-American, first team, Big 12. He checks every single box as it pertains to big athletes that you need on your team to set a tone for everybody else.
The class clown thing, it's like that is so funny to me that a lot of these prospects in the draft get pinned on what they were or maybe perceived as when they were younger. Like, these guys are still young coming out of the draft, but the fact to say he was a class clown, coming into Texas or whatever you want to say, first of all, he was a captain. You don't make a guy that's not serious about football your captain. Second of all, he can be perceived maybe that way because even on the call, when we were on the call with him, he's got a little bit of a fun, quirky personality. That's his personality, dude. Don't hit the guy because he might have a little bit more of a quirk than others. Like, again, there's too much to say. That's not going to push me away from drafting a guy. But those are the little things you always see when it's put out there. And these guys, they just crush these dudes.
Dylan in Nashville, up on the phone, 615-737-1045. What's up, Dylan?
Hey, guys. How you doing, man? Thanks for taking my call. Just wanted to add in real quick. This is an ideal situation for Sweat to come into. Rand Carthon is the type of GM that just has the pedigree about player personnel and development behind him. You saw J.C. Latham when he entered in the building. The first person he gave a big hand smack to and a dap up was Rand Carthon. So I think he's going to be great paired up next to Jeffrey Simmons. And look out for a big year from Rashad Weaver here. And I agree with the class clown. You know, if you talked about me back in high school and back in college, I was an absolute class clown. But hey, 10 years of development later, we're, moving forward. So
exactly.
I love
Don't judge the guy. Don't knock him early.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Dylan. I think it's a good point. It is very ironic, the player in the NFL that just got an extension, because there is another defensive lineman who was selected with the 38th overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft who had character issues as the reason why he fell from the end of the first round to the start of the second. That's Alabama and New England Patriots defensive tackle Christian Barmore. Just signed a contract extension. Literally, as we're talking about, 3 years later, a number 38 overall pick with quote-unquote class clown characteristics and character questions. Christian Barmore was the exact same prospect. Now, just because one guy has character questions doesn't mean another guy has the same character questions, right? I think that's a very ambiguous term that's pretty all-encompassing that doesn't really get to the root of like, well, what are the questions, right? But I do think it is interesting that sometimes you just make it work. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the development from your coaching staff is just as much about who you are off the field as who you are on it. And that is why you have a coaching staff.
Yeah.
That is why you hire Tracy Rocker, who is an OG of defensive line coaching in college football and in the NFL, because you don't just want to have, respectfully, for lack of a better term, choir kids on your football team. Mm-hmm. And that's maybe a disrespectful way to say that. I think you guys know what I'm saying. We had the conversation when Vrabel left of like, how many players were the Titans turning away because they couldn't work with Mike Vrabel? Like, do you want really talented players or do you want just one kind of player that can work with Vrabel?
I think that's a great point, and he made that point as well. It's on where some of these guys land, where they can be successful. And so, yeah, I think, honestly, this is the best fit possibly for T'Vondre Sweat, just with the staff that you have and the type of GM that you have. I think it could set him up for long-term success here.
So there was there's an article out there explaining everything that happened from this bust moment right here. But Texas Longhorns defensive tackle coach Bo Davis, I'm sure everybody's seen it, but it's him just going on a cursing tirade on the bus after the game. They had lost to Iowa State. And he pretty much told the entire team, y'all are jacking around a little bit too much. Y'all play. Y'all just got beat by Iowa State, and you're supposed to be Texas. Like, he went completely off if you hadn't seen this. And it was, honestly, it said because of T'Vondre. He was one of the guys on the back of the bus laughing after the game and said he got berated and everybody got ripped. And he was asked, I said, T'Vondre was asked in the Sugar Bowl, what's changed from then to now? And he simply said, maturity. Yeah. And their defensive coordinator, I'm not even going to mess up his last name, but Texas the defensive coordinator, Pete K, is what I'll say, said this about T'Vondre after the fact. He's a very influential guy in our locker room. So the success that you've seen out of Texas probably started with him. And I'll even say this, too. Watching him at the Senior Bowl and even at the Combine, too, I just kept eyes on the guy because I'm like, that guy going to be all right. I was hoping to cover him up close, and now we get the opportunity to. Yeah. But at the Senior Bowl, guys wanted to be around him. Reporters want to talk to him. He's that type of person. And that can go right or left, right? But what you want is a Jeffrey Simmons in the room, right? You want a Coach Tracy Rocker in the room. You want Denard Wilson there. You want a head coach that's going to challenge him. I won't say enough about, I feel like, Brian Callahan and the intensity that he carries. Also, there is a level of expectation, I feel like, when you got guys that can, hey, drag people left or right. What you do know is this. We heard speculation last year about, or Jeff had to say publicly, about people taking the game serious, right? About people being all in or get the heck out is basically what Jeffrey was saying. And some of those dudes, we didn't even got to name them, found their way out before the season ended. And in that, now you have an opportunity with Jeffrey Simmons get his picks, right? Get the guys that he want to work with and be around, whether it be a linebacker and Kenneth Murray, whether it be two cornerbacks, or whether it be a young rookie defensive tackle. The expectations have changed. Jeff's voice has gotten a little bit higher.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why I would say when it comes down to a young fella like him, figuring out what direction to go in, you're going to get dragged to the finish line if Big Jeff has anything to say about it.
Talking about some of the other guys in this class, James Williams, a safety out of Miami, told the media over the weekend that he played around 220 to 225 in college, but said he is around 228 pounds right now. at the NFL Combine was listed at 6'4", 231. The Titans like him as a linebacker.
I do too. But he has the range. You can play him. He could be your hybrid guy. Like everybody's looking for that X player that can play on the back end up front. If you at 6'4", 220.
Do you see him move more towards that Tim Banks 4-2-5 kind of defense, where you essentially have what Tennessee calls the star position, where you have a nickel safety hybrid that's got to be a good run defender, but also has to cover a tight end or at times cover a slot receiver? Do you see the NFL looking more towards that and this being that for the Titans?
I think it's been there for a minute. We're just finally seeing it here in Nashville.
That base nickel package becoming more of the norm.
Absolutely, Will. That's a part of it. And you have to, because why? They're throwing, and then, of course, you get caught in a bad situation. Got to have a guy who can go side to side, and he can.
Base offensive formations aren't 2 tight ends, 2 backs anymore. They're 1 tight end, 1 back, 3 receivers. Yeah.
Which, by the way, in light of a safety, in terms of, we're maybe seeing him convert to linebacker, and obviously a lower round pick. So we'll see how much he's able to contribute, how fast. Mm-hmm. But I know Rand said, I think on Saturday when they were wrapping up everything, that they are going to go out and get another safety in terms of free agency. So that will be something that's addressed, I would assume, probably sooner than later with that situation, since there's some good ones still out there. But it's always interesting to see how these 7th round, 6th round guys come in and how they can contribute.
Oh, yeah. Of course. And they'll always be surprised by them because, again, it's low value with high output. You need those guys.
You also still have Marcus May sitting out there.
That's right.
Who reportedly took a visit to the facility. I'm curious if they're just waiting to work something out with him and said, let's see what falls to us in the draft. He's got familiarity with the coaching staff and guys on the staff that he's worked with before. I just wonder if Marcus May is just waiting for the timing and looking for other options and ends up being here. We'll see.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. We'll go rapid fire on the phones with your reaction to our Titans discussion this morning. Coming up next.
Fellas, if you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have noticed a lack of motivation and drive, have weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple blood test. With their on-site lab, you get your results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office either. It's a concierge medicine for men. Their physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized treatment for each patient. Most health insurance is also accepted for treatment. And they have affordable and convenient treatment options, including physician self-monitor inject systems, treatments for established patients that ship directly to your home each month. So there's no need to come to the center for weekly visits. Right now at Low T Center, it's only $25 to get your T levels tested with results back in about 25 minutes. So make your health and quality of life a priority. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Wrapping up the show, RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone, 615-737-1045. And we go to the phones across international waters. Michael in London is with us. Michael, North London is red, buddy. How are you?
Hey, it is red. Hello, RKW. How you guys doing?
We're good.
Michael?
Good morning.
Good morning. Listen, I'm actually in your neck of the woods. I've been in Fort Worth for 3 weeks at a training camp. So
Nice.
yeah. So the shock of it was the first day I thought I picked my phone up, and about 6:30 in the morning I saw you guys. I was like, "What the hell is he doing there? It's a bit early." And I thought, "Oh shoot!" Just because I'm in the States. Because normally
right.
the 12 o'clock thing down at our place. Yeah, exactly. So I had to get used to that.
Love it.
But I thought I'd give you guys a call before I leave. How you guys doing? Everybody fine? You happy about that?
Everybody's good.
Happy, chilling.
Listen, I am bouncing off the wall, mate. I am bouncing off the wall. I thought it was a good draft. I think regarding Sweat, I think it's much to do about nothing, really, if I'm being honest. It doesn't matter. I think one of the things that came across for me was in the conferences that those guys did, they sounded a lot more confident. They were more specific about what they were going after. Not sure why fans are talking about this guy's weight, for example. You know, if I'm not mistaken, on the NCAA rules, I'm sure you've got is it 20 hours you can work with this kid? So there's only so much you can do with him, in school anyway. But now there's going to be a professional football player. It's going to wake and see football every day. So I'm not bothered about that. I don't care if it's 500 pounds. Right now, we just need buddies, and the reality of it is I'm more confident watching those guys speak about why they're going to, after certain players. And I think the other thing, the final point is, the Dale draft thing for me, it's expertise mixed with a bit of hope. There's a 20-30% hope that you wish this kid's come in and do well. How many players will come in and tell you they want to come in and do everything you ask them to do, and 2 weeks later they're on gun charges and DUIs and DWIs and all sorts. So I'm not too bothered. I'm very confident. It looks good. Hopefully we're able to put it together, and it'll be a much, much better team than we had last year. So that's my take on it.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Safe travels.
Michael.
One of our favorites, Michael in London.
Michael
Love it.
knows ball.
He's here in Fort Worth?
Yeah, that's what he said. Michael knows
Awesome.
ball, man. Love
He does.
that.
He
and he's
always has
also
good insight.
he's
He
an
does.
Arsenal fan, and Arsenal beat
Yes, he is.
Tottenham 3-2 over the weekend. North London is red. We're in first place still. 3 to go.
There you
Don't
go,
we know
Arsenal.
a Tottenham fan, too? Don't we know a Tottenham
Yes,
fan?
Justice Schaefer
Justice.
Yeah.
is
JC.
a Tottenham fan. Tough.
Sure is.
The best producer in the world.
That's a throwback.
That is a throwback.
We told you we'd give you something on every player. Jarvis Brownlee, probably the guy we've talked about the least, maybe the best fit for the way the defense is going to be set up here in Tennessee. Him and Jalen Harrell, the Michigan outside linebacker, maybe the two guys we've not talked about as much. Dane Brugler in The Athletic writing about Jarvis Brownlee. His aggressive nature will be a double-edged sword versus seasoned NFL athletes, but his movement skills and competitive toughness, ding, 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 will be attractive qualities for defensive coordinators. He has the right mentality to play special teams and compete for a starting nickel role early in his career. Shades of Kobe Durant, according to Dane Brugler in The Athletic, of a guy who started his career at Florida State for 3 seasons, transferred to Louisville, played 48 games in his college career with 6 interceptions.
Nice.
I like it.
According to Bert, when he puts his face up against the glass, that's the type of cornerback he wants, and Jarvis fits that to a T.
Rock
right?
eater.
Rock
He's
eater.
eating rocks out there, man.
5'11", 194, 9-inch hands, 32 and a quarter arms. Not the biggest guy. Honestly, it reminds me a little bit of a day 3 version of what Roger McCreary was coming out of Auburn.
I'm with you.
A guy that's going to stick to you like glue, even though the arms aren't quite as long and the size isn't maybe there. I think this staff can work with that, especially on day 3.
In most cases, I would urge people to not take too much stock in the highlight packages that you see with players. But when it comes to his, He is going to be bullying people like that. He's going to be
100%.
pushing people down. He's going to be hard-nosed. That is my favorite type of corner. I have a type. Yeah. My type is the dudes that are Cortland Finnegan. That is my type. I want them to punch you with a helmet on. That's my type in corner.
I'm with you on that one, Bert.
And now they got Legarius, too.
Yeah.
Who's just a dog.
I've heard somebody say I'd rather say woe than sick 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Al in New Jersey with the last word on the phone lines this morning. What's up, Al?
Hey, good morning, crew. Good
Morning.
to hear
Morning.
your voices. I listen to you from Jersey every morning.
Thank
and
you.
I'm in the midst of the armpit with the Giants and the Jets here, and I can't stand them.
I love it.
But, hey, I really love our draft. What I'm tired of is all these people talking about, oh, this kid got character issues. I bring up three names, Randy Moss, Warren Sapp, and most recently, Laramie Tunsil. All of these people had issues and dropped, but every team regretted passing on them. And I think we have a stud in the middle that's going to help Big Jeff. And finally, we have a dog linebacker that will remind us of Keith Bullock. So tighten up, and you guys keep doing your job. You're doing a great job. Love
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Al.
Thanks,
I
Al.
love the bagels you guys have up there. O Bagel is like my favorite place in the world.
No, I got
in
a
New
real
Jersey.
quick gripe, man. Real quick. No matter where and how great we are and where we're placed in front of people at all times, offensive linemen always get overlooked, man. Always get overlooked. JC, I'm here for you, baby. I swear, we gonna champion you until we see what we got out there, man.
How about us today getting calls from New Jersey, Houston,
London,
and Fort Worth by way of London?
It's incredible.
Pretty good.
Love that.
I'm not gonna pull something reaching back and pat myself on the back, but
first time callers.
I'll be
too.
careful when I do.
We did have a first time call.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
Love it. Breaking news on the way out. Charlotte forward Igor Milicic has committed to Tennessee.
There you go.
6'10" Croatian forward who shot 38% from three-point range for the Charlotte 49ers last year.
What?
6'10", started his career at Virginia. Now will be a Tennessee Volunteer. That's the show. Buck Rising Show is up next. We've got a ton of Titans draft reaction. Unfortunately, we have Pred's reaction as well coming up for you all day. Stay locked in for the Buck Rising Show next. And turn your radio up 2 notches more for words of wisdom from Ramon Foster.
First and foremost, offensive linemen matter, okay? But at the end of the day, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always
In
hot.
the arms of an angel.
You know, I mean, how could you not like, you know, a large human with a length and, you know, paws